Alrighty, welcome everybody. We're so excited to be here with you on day 2 of this wonderful Australian digital event. My name is Laurel Erznosnik. I'm an account executive here at the Grace Company. And then joining me we have
Jana Matthews. I'm the assistant sales manager at the sales department here at the Grace Company. And from Australia we have
Roswitha from Know How Sewing Essential, the Grace distributor, together with
Hans Martini.
Welcome so much.
Yeah.
We're great to have you here today, Hans. Sorry you couldn't be with us yesterday. Glad to have you here today.
I'm here today. This is a great event, and thank you for putting this on. This is the way it's happening now these days. So yeah, I had to drive 5 hours last night to make it here because I was not gonna miss it. So yeah, no, it's all good.
Well, yeah, wow. Thanks so much for getting there. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. I know, and you talked about, driving in. So welcome everyone that's joining us. And again, let us know where you're coming from, because if you joined us yesterday, we had people from all over. We had people joining from Australia, different parts of there. There's some South Wales there. And then we even had people joining from back in the States. So go ahead, get your fingers warmed up, put the comments in. Let us know again where you're joining from. Then I would encourage you guys, again, get those fingers warmed up, because kind of throughout today as we are going to be doing some different giveaways and all of that. So make sure, again, let us know where you're joining from. I know we have Andrea Booker, it looks like, from Sydney, Australia.
Welcome.
So welcome on that one. And then I know this is a really fun one. We have people, we're watching this here, we're streaming it on Facebook, YouTube, and then on our Grace platform as well. So thank you everyone for joining. Mary Jansen says, morning everyone. Mary from I'm probably saying it wrong. Lara, West Victorian, Australia. And then they say, wow, Hans, that's a long drive. That is a long drive to get there, but yes, very fun. Looks like we have Denise from Cowes, Victoria. Wonderful. This is really exciting. Again, if you're just joining us now, go ahead and let us know in that comment section where you guys are joining from. We're kind of just getting into the day. This is going to be a fun little segment where we're going to announce one of those that, a winner for those that have pre-registered, and then we'll have another one at the end of the day. And then this first segment here, we're also going to take a look a little bit behind the scenes, and we're going to see a little bit of what the warehouse and all that looks like in, Roswitha and Hans area there. So we'll do that in just a minute. But thank you everyone for coming in. It looks like we have Cindy Hutchinson from Wisconsin. We have, just from all over. Patricia from Virginia, Mary Ann from Idaho, Tony from New South Wales, Australia. I think we saw you yesterday, so welcome back. And if this is your first time or first day joining us, welcome, welcome. I know, again, this is Hans' first day, so we're really excited to have you here with us and to be able to be here. Wonderful. And then we also have, looks like, Beverly Davis from Tennessee.
We also have Jeanette from Penola, South Australia, and Jeanette from Warrnambool, I'm going to butcher this, Warrnambool, Victoria. Also a Jeanette from South Carolina. They said, hi Roswitha, thanks so much for hosting in Australia. And then Glory B from Woodsport, New York.
Wow. That's awesome. This is a really, go ahead, Roswitha.
it's very exciting, like to see all these people coming together for all over the globe. Yes, great.
Yeah.
I know, that's what I just was going to say, because we've done, I'd say this is our first digital event for, been doing in Australia and all that. We've done some other digital events, but this is a really unique one because, we're getting people from all over the world. So it's kind of a fun, kind of different from what we've done in the past. So it's really exciting to be able to have everyone with us. So thank you again for joining us. Really quickly, I'm going to go over kind of what the schedule is, and then we're going to turn the time over a little bit more to Roswitha and Hans to show us a little bit more again on the back side of their warehouse and all of that, and kind of give you guys the tour of it. But again, kind of just the schedule for today is we have this first welcome segment. It's going to be about 15 minutes here, and then after it we're going to go into the wonderful ways to use the Wonderfoot. So the Wonderfoot 360 is a new product of ours that we just recently came out with. So that's a really fun one. You'll be able to learn a little bit more about it. If you haven't seen it before, it'll be a fun way, to get into it. And then following that, we're going to have free motion tips and tricks with Lizzy, Allen, and Jackson on that one as well.
I've seen this one. It's really great. They do a wonderful job.
Wonderful. Yeah, they'll be really fun. And then if you are just joining us for today and you missed yesterday's segment, you will be able to go back through and watch it. But Lizzy Allen did a fun one on it yesterday with us. I believe she talked about it was little quilts, big stitching. And then we also had Jackson who did a trunk show for us yesterday. So again, if you haven't seen those, go back through, rewatch them. And then kind of again moving through what today's schedule is going to look like is following that free motion tips and tricks with Lizzy Allen and Jackson. We're going to go into it the It's So Easy part 2. So that's the quilt section that Karla's going to show us on how she kind of finishes up that quilt that she did part 1 on yesterday. And then after that, we're going to have tips for your machine. And then we're going to do, we're going to kind of come back live, do a little bit of a product demonstration with you guys. And then following that, we're going to do Karla's trunk show. It says finishing quilts on different frames.
Oh, that one will be great. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really fun one because there's all, you know, yesterday Jenna and Mark had done a segment on how to choose the right frame for you. And so then Karla's going to now show you kind of some of those different quilts that she completed using those different frames. So that'll be a really fun one. And then just after that, we have, it's going to be the Quilting 21R and 21 Pro comparison. And then we also are going to do, and then, you know, after that, we're going to come back live and we're going to do the grand prize giveaway. Ooh. For those that have pre-registered. So thank you everyone again. That was just kind of the schedule for today. But thank you everyone for joining us. I know again we have people from all over. So thank you so much for being able to be with us. But we'll go ahead and kind of turn the time over to you, Rasmitha and Hans, to kind of show us again a little bit more of the back end of your warehouse and kind of where you guys work from.
Okay. So I will take the camera and Hans will do the tour.
Okay. Yeah. Cameras.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here we are in our showroom and warehouse. The warehouse is in another unit up where we store all the brown boxes. Like I say, this warehouse is too small for all the stock and the trucks to come in and pick up. Here is our showroom. We probably are one of the few stores with the most erected long arm machines. What we have here, of course, we have the 15 Pro on a Q zone. We have the Quilting 19 on the 10-foot continuum frame. We have the 21R here on the continuum frame as well. With the, if we cover them up at night, and then when in the morning when you take the covers off, the thread gets tangled. Okay, so yeah, we got a 21R here, normally set up with a QCT. So we have the whole range of the finesse threads. We have the hand quilting hoop here, hoop 2. That's falling off. That's on the stand there. And then we have the 21 Pro here on a 5-foot continuum frame. That's normally what I take to shows. And yeah, that's with the QCT setup. So, and of course, then we have the the Q-zone frame on a domestic Bernina machine. So you can have that, of course, as you know, domestic machine on a Q-zone frame that's loaded up, ready to sew. Of course, then we have a lot of second-hand machines, demo machines, which we got on sales. We got a little bit of second-hand domestic machines. We have we are a Janomi dealer by rights. We are a Bernina dealer by rights. Bernina sounds with that up here. Yeah, and a full range of domestic machines, which we also can package up as specials with a frame to your choice. We have the Janomi HD9 here on a QD frame, which is a tabletop frame, which is on a super duper special coming up. That's $500 off that frame. So normally, in Australian dollars, I know we got a few US guys watching. In Australian dollars, that's $14.99. Now, for this special today for this show, we have that for 3 digits only, so $9.99. We can package them up with any kind. If you haven't got a domestic machine, we can get you a domestic machine to go on your frame. We have a full range of domestic machines here, or of course would prefer that you go for this is the M7 Continental, the Janomi, a really big machine, and does a lot of things. But of course, we have our Unique 15 Pros here, and on the last visit we had from the Grace Company in the States, we had a present which we're still using, still working very well. It's as a show display where we show our frames off with your own machine. Yeah, that's pretty much. I'm not going to show the mess on the other side. That's my no, we're not showing that. We're not showing my mess. No, come to the. We're not showing my mess. That's my mess. I've been away. I have to clean that up. That's my Saturday morning job or afternoon job. And yeah, that's pretty much where everything is happening here in good old center of the universe, Mittagong, New South Wales, Australia. So yeah, thank you. I'll let you get back into the classes. I'm sure you had enough with me. You've been watching me every Friday at 11 o'clock anyway, some people on Facebook. And I've been let you get back to class.
Yeah. Just one more thing. Don't forget to go to our website. We have great specials on all the machines, all the frames, all the TrueCut. Just
TrueCut, 20%
yeah,
off.
20% off. The combos also very special. So check out our website where all the sales are happening.
Yeah,
so we did have a question on the sales that just came in. They were asking, when do the sales run out? So they wanted to know, was it just this weekend? Is it happening for the events as well? Because we're going to be at Toowoomba and Brisbane and Canberra. And so they were asking, when do the sales run out? How long are the sales happening? And what kind of pricing do you have on the sales?
Okay. There's, with the conditions of transport and I think there's a limited number, depends on what product you're looking at. If you're looking at the Q-zone frame and the 2D frame, there's a limited number on those frames. That's what we have in stock. So get your orders in early. Yeah, the sale is a sale. So if you're ready to get a bargain on a sale, put your order in quickly. Yes, we have a limited number on QD frames. I think there were 50 something, and then the Q zones similar to that. But when they're sold out and the next shipment comes in at a higher cost, I don't think the sale will be on. But place your orders now. Put your hand up. Earmark something for you. Put a small deposit on this special, and then we will hold that and reserve that product for you. So yeah, it's hard to say how long are those specials on. Of course,
definitely for the events.
Definitely for the events, but as I said, it's a limited number. So if you want it for Mother's Day next week, we can send you a nice Prezi card that you can send to your mom for Mother's Day that you have.
Perfect.
And yeah, sure. Let us know what you're after, what you need, what you want, and we can help you.
Yeah, we work with you as well.
Yeah.
With the customer, yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. And I know we'll talk a little bit more again. That's wonderful up there on the screen, kind of how you can contact them, as well as where or what website you can go to see some of those amazing sales that they're going to have for you guys. And again, it sounds like it's kind of while supplies last. So if you want it, now is the time to do it, right? Because again, you want to be able to get it before they run out. So again, make sure to reach out to them. And they talked about through the show. So that was yesterday and then kind of today. So make sure, again, if there's anything you see or even something that you have a question on, reach out to them. But kind of for this first morning segment is we are going to be doing a giveaway chosen from those that have pre-registered. And so Janet, what is the item that we're giving away for this segment?
So this pre-register is our Quilters Combo. It's our most popular item ordered from TrueCut from all our customers. So it has the 6.5 by 24.5 inch ruler, the 45 millimeter cutter, comfort cutter, and that, like we learned yesterday, was for left and right-handed. It'll switch back between the two, and it has a package of our True Grips, which has 30 different, 15 large and 15 small. So it's great. It's the perfect little started gift, and so yeah, that's the one we're giving away today.
Awesome, wonderful. And again, this is chosen from those that have pre-registered. So thank you everyone for being able to join with us. But we're going to go ahead and announce the winner here of this Quilters Combo. Woo! Alrighty, here we go. All right.
Helen Taylor, congratulations.
Wonderful. So we will be reaching out to you because, again, this is chosen from those that are pre-registered. But thank you, everyone, for participating. And thank you so much, Roswitha and Hans, for being able to take us around and kind of see the back end of your studio there in this little morning segment. But we're going to go ahead right into some of these first educational videos. We're going to go over wonderful ways to use the Wonderfoot. And then we're going to do the free motion tips and tricks with Lizzy Allen and Jackson.
Enjoy.
Hello everybody and welcome. I am Karla Jerome with the Grace Company, and today I get to introduce to you our new Wonderfoot 360, and I'm really excited about this foot. It's like shoes. You can never have enough shoes to accessorize with. Well, this foot is like those little roller shoes that you can roll around on. It's fun, it's engaging, and let me show you what it does. So, with this foot, you get a wide foot that has a bearing in it, and it has a little spring that springs down. So you know, like on your domestic machines, the spring down action actually helps to keep it on the fabric at all times, and it doesn't inhibit it, and you'd think it'd make it wrinkle, but because it's wide, it doesn't. So we have these little inserts that you can put in. You get 5 inserts with it, and they each do specific things. The insert that I have in it right now is the Stitch in the Ditch feature, and it is, you can see that it's cross-angled in the center, so it aligns your needle and gives you those crosses so that you can ride along your seam and keep it nice and straight. And then you'll notice that as I'm riding along the seam, and I'm just showing you how it works before I actually get quilting. So as you're riding along the seam, when you get to the seam that's going up, you'll notice that the lines on the insert will show you now it's time to move up, and it turns. And notice that. It's just so much fun and very engaging. And then when you get to the line where your next seam is going across towards your left, you just ride along the seam and then you come down. So much fun. Now at first you'll be a little wobbly, we all are, and so you might want to use your ruler base, or until you get a little more comfortable, you can use a ruler to ride along the edge just to kind of keep your movements nice and steady until you get familiar with how it turns on you, with you. So you might want to try different ways of using it, but you will find it very fun and very engaging. So let's thread it. And let's show you how it works. And when the foot comes, you get the one foot, but like I was talking about, you get 5 different inserts, and they each do different things. So it's like you get 5 feet, 5 different shoes in one package. Very exciting and a lot of fun. All right, and notice that it just really helps you hone in and get right on that seam because of the lines on it. I'm just gonna pull it up. And now I'm gonna come back right on that seam. And I'm just gonna turn my machine on. So now I've made sure that my lines are all intersecting with my seams on my quilt. And I'm just gonna turn it on and start moving down. And you'll notice that as I move down, it's gonna help me keep it. And then when my seam hits, I'm just gonna move across. I have to hold my fabric, sorry. And now I'm just gonna move up my quilt, staying on my seam. And you can go as slow or as fast as you want. It's just, oh God, it's so much fun. Now that is the stitch in the ditch foot. Let's put in another insert and show you what the other inserts do. But see how fun? And very easy because it turns with you and it'll also keep your seams nice and straight. So you're quilting nice and straight. So let's change out the insert. I'm just gonna give me a little bit of extra thread here. And now I can pull up my bottom thread and cut my threads. Very important as you're quilting. All right, now with my Pro machines and with your other machines, you want to move the needle up out of the way so that you can change your insert. So with my Pro machines, I can just tap on my up button and notice how it went back in, but I have a needle jog, so I'm just gonna jog it up as high as I can. Okay, there we go. And I'm gonna take my foot height gauge, which is included, and I'm going to push on this little lever right here on the insert and see, I can pull it right out. Easy. All right, the next insert I get to show you are the offset inserts. There are 2 offsets. So which will help align your needle 1/4 inch in from your seam or 3/8 of an inch in from your seam. And this is what the 1/4 inch looks like. You'll notice that it has a little circle. And so you'll just put your insert in. So you don't need to take the whole foot off to put the inserts in. All right, so now you can see that I have my 1/4 inch insert in. Now, just to play with that, I don't want to turn it on, I just want you to see how it works. Okay, so I'm going to align, I'm going to start up here, okay? And I'm going to align, I'm just doing the squares right now. We'll go up and do the angles a little later. All right, notice how it's pushing my needle 1/4 inch away from my seam line. And that's just how it's gonna work. Just like the stitch in the ditch foot, it works the same way. So when the lines hit your seam, it's time for you to turn the other direction as you're quilting. So we're going to bring our thread up, we're going to come back, and we're going to show you how the offset works. Just going to align my needle up, and then I'm just going to turn it on and start moving down till I hit my seam going across, and then I'm going to move it, keeping it as straight as I can till I hit, and then I go up. And this one will probably take a little bit more practice, but boy, is it fun. And notice, not bad. And then you get the 1/4 inch and the 3/8. So you have the 2 different sizes and they work the same way. But there's a couple more I want to show you, I'm very excited about. So this next one is it's the circle. And it's just a circle insert. And what it does is it helps you with echo stitches as you're quilting. And so let me quickly change the insert. And again, I'm just going to raise my needle up. Okay, I'm going the wrong direction, so bear with me. Just going to move it up out of the way and quickly change my insert. but it doesn't take too much time. And I'm going to put my circle, or what I call my echo insert in. And I'm just going to angle it right here. So I'm going to get it within the area. There we go. There we go. All right, so now the echo foot is in. So what I want to do, because on this one I kind of want to draw, and just kind of help me keep my echo stitch away. So it's going to go like this. I'm going to do my C's just to give me a line of sight so I can do it. Make sure that my repeats are going to stay, and it'll help me adjust. So I'm just going to come down here, pull up my thread. All right, and we're going to start stitching along using this echo foot. So with the echo foot, we're just going to go around and do our little spirals and try to keep using it. It's just kind of a fun little foot to help you make your little loops come in and out. You just have a lot of fun. Notice how as I'm moving it across my quilt, it'll just help me keep my spirals nice and loopy, and it also helps me adjust them. I'm trying to stay in that square there, so I'm not coming up and out. Boy, I could do this all day. I just love quilting with it because as it turns, just makes it fun. And it actually helps your loops and your spirals as you're turning. See how much fun it can be. Just keep going across my quilt. Helping me watch as I'm doing that echo stitch around the edge there. And as I'm coming back, it just kind of helps me keep it nice and even. And an echo stitch is just kind of a repeat stitch, but I'm trying to maintain it 1/4 of an inch away. There we go. I just wanted to see how fun and entertaining it is. And it does, as it goes around in the loop, it actually makes your curves and turns more curvy. And who doesn't like a good curve as they're quilting? So let me show you our newest insert. And it's our clear view insert. And this one's really fun because I saved what I think is almost the best for last. And it's an insert that doesn't have anything on it, so that you can trace, you can do whatever you want, but it actually allows you to see your design, and it gives you a wide area. So it's not like an open toe, it's actually better than an open toe foot. So let's just change the needle right now. There we go. And not the needle, let's change the insert right now to the clear view insert. And notice as I'm moving around how it's turning. Just such a fun foot. So I'm going to put my last insert in. Getting a little better the more I do it. All right, so now I'm going to move over here. And you can see that I have a clear view of my lines going across. So as I'm moving across, I'll just use this insert to watch my tracing lines. Ah, a little wonky there, sorry. And as you're going across, just watch it. And you're just going to adjust yourself and move on down the quilt as we're quilting. I want to go back over that one. Not bad, but with time, I'll get much better. Anyway, just have fun with the Wonderfoot 360. Make your designs. Explore the opportunities that you have using it. And, you know, you can play with all the different inserts. See how the lines really help you stay straight on if you don't have them? Yeah, you can see and you know, but they really do help keep you nice and straight. But the Wonderfoot 360 is just going to give you that stability and that extra little help you need to make your stitching nice and perfect. So you're probably wondering why. Why do I need the Wonderfoot? And how is it going to help me? Well, there's a lot of different ways it can help you with your quilting. It's going to help you improve your stitch in the ditch, and it's also going to help you with your offsets. The lines are there to help you stay nice and straight, but it's very engaging and a lot of fun. And it gives you that stability. So it also will help you applique. So raw edge applique is another feature that you'd use the clear foot for. And so many more possibilities that I probably am not aware of that you will be telling me about how you use it. So as you're quilting and as you enjoy it, I invite you to share with me how you use it and how excited you are about it. We've already tested it in some of our classes, and those quilters can't wait for it to come out and show me all the different ways they're going to apply the different inserts to their quilting. So if you have any questions, please leave a comment below and don't forget to share and subscribe. Also follow our Instagram and visit our website at graceframe.com or contact your local dealer. I'm Karla Jerome, and thank you for joining me here at the Grace Company to show you the Wonderfoot 360.
Hi, all our wonderful creative quilters. I'm Lizzy Allen from Thimble and Thread Quilting. Quilting with me today is Jackson from the House of Jackson.
Hello everyone, today we're here sharing some tips and tricks for stress-free long arm quilting. We use these tips quite a lot and we thought we'd share them to help your creativity. So
stay tuned.
Yeah, let's get started. So starting with our first tips, we're going to be preparing the machine. So what's one of the most important things when we start a quilt, Lizzy?
Change the needle.
How many times have we accidentally forgotten to? And it looks like we've put a nail through it.
Yep, and choosing the right needle.
Yeah.
Okay, so for Bali batik fabrics, that type of thing, quilter's best friend, 4-point needle.
Yes. I've had a quilt and the batik on the back, I was stressed. I think I even phoned you. I was like, what do I do? What do I do? and you said try a ballpoint needle. Tell you what, it worked a charm. So
Yep. The other thing is, when you look at the quilt, so these little numbers that we have on the back here that we're going to quilt for you later, it's a really light piecing. So I'm quite happy to use a 16 needle.
Mm.
What would you use for a heavily pieced quilt?
I'd go up a needle size.
Yep.
Yeah. That-
20?
Yeah, just that little bit extra to actually go through that piecing and, ease that stress and all
Yeah,
that.
it helps our machine, doesn't it?
It does. It
Yeah.
creates less risk of breaking a needle on the bulk of the seams as well.
Exactly. So the next thing that we do is I oil the bobbin.
Yeah. I will let every bobbin change to you.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, awesome.
And I'm funny because we're Australian. We use the wool, right? So we're a little bit spoiled. So I like to make sure that, first of all, that I place my batting the right way up. So it's the scrim side down, because I don't want a lot of lint down the bobbin case.
Yeah, because if you have the scrim on the top and then needles going through, it's actually reversing how the batting was technically made.
Yeah, and you, like quilt, it looks like it's got a fuzz. But the other thing is, have you ever had it where you pulled out the bobbin case and the lint has caused a little ball on the thread, and all of a sudden you think you have these big tension issues, and it's the bobbin.
Yeah, so that's another important tip. Always clean your bobbin area. Every bobbin change, I like to just clean it out. At my studio, I have an air compressor, and I actually just hose it out with the air, because that gives me so much less hassle down the track, because if that lint gets caught in a thread and it just goes into the back of the quilt, it can be a bit of a challenge. So you use the Candero, I believe, don't you?
Yeah, I use this. For me, it's a girl's best friend.
Yep.
Yeah, I just shake the can, and I stand probably about 3 inches away from my hook assembly, and I just clean it all. And I do like it for cleaning just the underside of the machine, the tracks, to make sure that, especially for those girls that have the automation, that nothing unnecessarily is going into the belt or into the carriage. So I love it. You'll get it down at your local hardware store. So do you warm up your machine?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Better safe than sorry. It just gives it helps it get the peak performance, because where I am in my studio, it can get quite cold at night. So I just start up, and where I do my tension testing on the side of my quilt, I just run the machine for a few minutes there, just doing some practice. And it also warms me up for the day as well.
So I'm going to give you a little trick on the tension. So the machine has a ballast. So when I go from left to right, it looks good. But, most people don't realise that when I go from right to left, that's when the thread's under pressure.
Yeah.
And that's when my snaps are going to occur. So I'm quite funny. I'll do left to right, then right to left, but I'll do like a curlicue. So I go in and then I come out of the point, because if that's where it's going to eyelash, that's where I'm going to stay.
Yeah, and curvature is the best way to find any tension issues.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the way the machine's moving, it's in multi-direction, so it really helps highlight any potential issue.
And I don't know about you, but I hate unpicking. So that thing of letting that first row start, and then you're underneath going, what does it look like?
I will confess, I have quilted the whole first row of the quilt, and I did have to unpick, and I tell you what, it makes me even more cautious to check my tension, because I spent the next 3 hours and I'm like, ding, and I was like, I'm never doing the same mistake again, I tell you.
Nice. So, what about preparing the frame?
Well, whenever I start a quilt, I love it to be clean, because to be completely honest, there's nothing worse than a little bit of lint on your track, and the machine goes along.
The bolt.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, it's just so stressful. So to avoid that, I literally just clean my entire frame. And not only that, I reduce what I have sitting on the frame. So if I have little bits and pieces sitting on it, and the machine's going fast and there's a little vibration, they also vibrate, and they honestly do my head in. So a clean frame is a happy quilter in my studio. I don't know, is it the same here?
Yeah. So I'm lazy. I always find that when I take the quilt off at the end of the day, that's when I clean the frame. Because when I walk in the morning to start my new quilting day,
You want to get started straight away.
That's right, because that's the best bit. So I use my microfiber cloth when I'm finished, and I just wipe down everything because I'm not dodgy. Same thing as you.
And you do your wheels.
Yeah.
Yes, because it can often build up on the wheels, and then we're like, I've cleaned my tracks. But it's the actual wheel that it can also build up on, because it might be a little bit of harmless lint, but when it's got the machine going over it compresses it.
So
and
what do
just
you like to use?
As in getting the lint off?
Yeah.
A microfiber cloth and an air compressor, because sometimes I just got to blow it away.
Oh, sweetie, sometimes you need a hand. I use Windex.
Really?
Yeah. So any of the grime that's actually built up, if it wants to be a little bit tough, I like Windex on the microfiber. Not sopping wet.
Just that little, just to
a
get
little
rid of
bit.
it.
Yeah.
You're full of tips, Lizzy.
Oh, well, it cures pimples too. So, how about loading the quilt?
So one of my biggest things is I sometimes actually tear the backing fabric because it gives me that straight edge. So then I can come to my leader cloth and mark the center quite easily. And then I just put it on and do the same. I, do my pin the top one and I roll that up.
Yeah, so what? And you
And
smooth it all out as you
As
go?
I'm going, and then I put it on my backing roller and I roll it back and then smoothing it away. But if there's like a little crease or a crease that's, it's going to be on my last nerve, I grab a little misting bottle.
One of these?
Yeah, I tell you, it's my best friend. And I just give it just a gentle mist. And what that does is it just is enough to relax the fibers of the fabric so we can keep rolling and just roll that crease away. And it's really good because when we get to the first section, everything else is rolled up. So all those creases are being held in. They're not creased anymore. They're held in their new position. So then when I do my first section, any of those creases, they've been taken care of and they're stopped.
Yeah. So what do you do with your batting? Do you let your batting rest in the room?
Yeah, so if I have batting come and it's been folded, I just have a spare table and I lay it over that.
Yep.
Or I have bulldog clips in the picture frame rail and I just hang it up because there's nothing worse than that little crease. And sometimes you can do as much as you want, but letting it rest to come back to its normal form is the best way to solve that problem.
Well, I learnt the hard way. So a customer came in and I held up the quilt and the light was there and there was the original crease. And it was maybe 2 mil. And it was a pre-purchase package. I opened it and I don't know about you, if I can avoid it, always make sure that my creases run.
Yeah, because then as it's coming through the frame, if we're floating our batting, what can happen is that just gentle pressure just eases those creases out for us as well.
And, our frames are geometrically correct.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so everybody says, but how do you keep the quilt square? So the first thing that I do is I use our channel locks and I base this horizontal line.
That's my favourite thing. It's just like, and when I do that, I start in the centre.
Yep.
And I work that way. Instead of doing, tying off or, cutting off, I actually just come back along and then I come up to here. Yep. And then I actually come back to the centre and then I move my machine back a little bit, like I disengage the channel lock. I move my machine back, which marks my centre. So when I put my quilt top on with the centre mark, I just align that.
Okay.
And then I bring the machine forward and do my sides and my top.
Yeah. Now for the girls that are feeling a little bit stressed about basting their quilt tops down, you do know that if you put your pins in vertically and take your time very gently, you can just ease your machine over those pins. If you're not comfortable doing that,
you can always remove the pin just
before you get there.
Yep.
And do you smooth your quilt top out?
Yeah, I sometimes use like a ruler just to get that nice.
Oh no, see, these, I love these. See, look, I just smooth my surface.
I've even got them in my studio. I've got the lovely pink ones.
Yeah.
And the best part is they're so easy to find. It's just like, where is it? And I just start looking for pink and I'm like, shrunk.
Yeah. And so there's not a right or a wrong, but lots of people like to float their quilt tops. We've all done it. So we can use our quilt grip clips.
That's what I use them for. I love floating my quilts Like if it's a smaller quilt, I could roll it up, but I simply just fold it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, it's quite funny, the basting down the side. Now, I've seen lots of photos and people have got into trouble where the hobbing foot has got caught. Do you baste down the side?
Yeah, so you showed me the wiggle one. And
Yeah.
I used to just do the straight stitch, but occasionally I'd have it flip over. And then when Lizzy showed me how she does the wiggle wobbles, I was like, that's really cool. And I would do the straight bit and then do the wiggle wobble.
So you want me to show you how to do that? Okay.
Yes,
Now
please.
I'm going to show you what I mean by a wibble wobble up the side. Now it's really important. I always start at the bottom and go up because we've always had that quilt that it was very full borders. So in doing this, I'm basically effectively gathering it. So one of the most important things, of course, is locking off that stitching to get the perfect tension. So I always do needle up, needle down, pull my bobbin, come back, and it's really important that I actually just wiggle the machine and lock those stitches off. I like to start with the needle down. It just gives me a little bit of security.
And I'm going to show you another little trick while you're at that, Lizzy. If we grab a pin, we can actually hold our thread tails out of the way.
Yes.
So I simply slip it in the quilt top and wrap it around so it's tucked out of the way.
That's perfect. Yep, I really like that idea. Now, I like to just quilt by gently turning on my machine, and I don't have to go very fast, but when I do this, it just puts the side down. And if the surface is really, really full, I'm actually pushing the fullness to the top rather than every time I roll on, I'm pushing the fullness towards the bottom of the quilt. And it's really that easy.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, and when I go to quilt, if I'm in automation, I don't end up with edges of my quilt being turned
Flipping back. Yeah, that's what I found when I started doing it. It really stopped the quilt from flipping back on itself.
Yep, I bring the machine forward about 2 inches and then I pick up the thread, move back into position, and I literally needle up, needle down. So what that's done, it's taken off the tension off the bobbin to allow me to bring it to the top of the surface. And I just simply cut those off because they'll be buried in the binding.
Okie dokie. Now let's look at our next.
So Jackson, how many bobbin cases do you have?
I've got two.
You got two? Yeah, me too.
This one for pre-rounds and the others for, everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the last thing I need to do is start fussing around with the tension dial at the top. So really, 90% of what I use is a 40 weight.
Yeah.
It's really rare that I use a 60 weight. So I never play with my dial. So for me, it's all about, I want it to be fun. It's just, okay, that's my pre-wound case.
And just boom, boom, away you go.
Yeah. Now, the reason we have two cases is because pre-wounds are what? Super fine thread. So naturally, they're just going to spool out. So we actually take the time to set the tension individually. So if I was winding a bobbin and it was just 40 weight, it's my normal case.
Yeah. But with the pre-wounds, because they're a finer thread and they're quite consistent, it's just easy to have that bobbin case separate. So it's just go, go, go. So in saying that, every time we change a bobbin, cleaning the bobbin area, oiling it, but doing a tension test just to be sure.
Always.
Guilty of it myself. I have been doing a panto in PowerPoint. I love that feature. And it was just going along and I was like, something just doesn't seem right. I stopped because I just changed the bobbin and I was like, yeah, who forgot to check the bobbin tension?
Yeah.
It happens though.
Yeah.
But if I had it tested prior, I would have avoided that mistake totally.
And if you're winding your bobbins on your machine like I do, having the correct tension on those bobbins and having them wound properly is a game changer because basically we're equalising the pressure. So we've got good tension on the bobbin, good tension on the top, and it's really fabulous. And because when you actually look, we've got the image up there, the red is the top thread and the bobbin is flat lining. So that means that my top thread needs to be tightened, but the truth is I've got to have enough ease with the bottom tension to allow it to be pulled up into the quilt sandwich, because what we really want to see is the middle picture.
Yes, where it nests in the middle. And the
Yep.
other one that can happen too is when your top thread is way too tight, you're at a higher chance of snapping the thread, but it pulls the bobbin thread to the top.
Yeah.
And it's noticeable at times, and it causes a lot of stress. And it's a very simple fix. It's just ease that tension down. And you don't do it a full turn. You do it in increments.
Less is more.
Yeah, but like those little turns are how we get to that sweet spot without going past it if we were to do a whole turn.
Now, would you take the bobbin case out and put it back in and do a test first before playing with the tension?
Yes, it's so important to do that because we need to eliminate our issue. So the first thing I do is I actually check my bobbin, check I haven't run out of bobbin thread, all that stuff. And then I go, okay, the bobbin is no longer going to be an issue. It is fine. Then I look at the thread path. After the thread path, I then adjust my tension.
Yeah, and one of the things that somebody showed me many, many years ago, which was a game changer, was quilting too tight. And I was like, I don't understand what you mean. So, see, we've got this nice and it's flexible. So we don't quilt drum tight. So I see quite often the skip stitch, or the long stitch, or quite often a long stitch, if you've got needle penetration, what that actually is the top thread is so tight, it's taking about 3 revolutions for the hook to come round for there to be enough thread to pick up. So how do I know whether I'm quilting too tight? It's really easy. I pick up that top thread and I use a pair of snips and I snip the bobbin thread. And if I can do 3 to 6 stitches that it undoes, it means I'm quilting at the right tension.
And if you struggle to snip just one,
you're quilting too tight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other thing too is really important when we tie on and tie off or start, we have to hold the bobbin tie, like I was showing with the pin previously. Because if we don't and we just start the machine, it can just be an absolute nightmare.
Yeah. So it really is the most important thing is to bring that bobbin thread up. It was once said to me that birds don't need anywhere to nest on the back of our quilts.
Oh, that is so true. And speaking of nesting, when I tie on, do you use a self-thread?
Yeah. So on the side there, I have a fabulous little magnet, and that's where I keep my open-ended needles. So I love these because I just snap the thread on
and just slip it through. And also, I feel makes it more durable.
Yeah, because I make sure that when I pull that through, it will be an area that I'm about to quilt.
And then it's got quilting over it to secure. Because sometimes we can snip it and it will last to an extent. But my fear is that if it gets washed one too many times, it starts unraveling. Yep. But when it's buried within the quilt, it takes a lot for it to unravel.
Have you ever checked your foot height?
Yes, that's really important because if it's too low, it can cause the most disgusting.
Let's bring the machine over and we'll show the girls. Oh, actually, we probably need it off for them to actually see. So I quite often, especially if I've changed a foot or changed a needle while I'm there, I literally put the needle in the down position and I make sure it's not on the quilt, and I use my lovely little needle alignment tool and I pop it down flat and I make sure, so the needle will be down, I pop that under and I just make sure that when I do that up, that the hobbing
it's so easy to adjust the height of the foot.
Yep.
And that's one of the things I'm just blown away by all the time.
Yeah.
And not only that, the handles. I'm a little jealous, Lizzy. Just the adjustable handles. And that's something else that's really important with long arm quilting because, like you were showing me the other day, when I'm doing ruler work, I had this a little lower and it was in my way and we could just adjust it out of the way.
Yeah, always make sure that your obstruction is out, that you feel comfortable. And you probably know that I have my frame a little bit higher and that actually stopped me from bending my back. So, yes, it'll take you a little bit of time, but I also found that ergonomically, my handles and my elbows and shoulders are really relaxed. Because you said something funny the other day about being relaxed.
Oh, yes. This is actually, so when I first started my long arm journey, I was like, if you gave me an ice cream cone, I would have smashed it into a million pieces because I was just gripping it and I was so like tense. And then what was happening is because I was so tense, it was actually pulling me to the machine. But then I was like, hang on a minute, just relax. The machine moves freely enough.
Yeah, it does.
And then because I was more relaxed, I could ease the pressure I was holding with and I could still guide the machine. And because I had less tension in my body, I was more relaxed. And I tell you what, my quilting looked 10 times better after that.
Yeah.
Just relaxing and taking a breath and 30-minute breaks and stretch.
Yep. Got to do your Pilates.
And the other, how do you pick threads?
I encore them.
Yeah. So show us how we do that.
So usually if I'm using a variegated thread or a thread, if I want to test the colour, I pull them. So when I mean pull, I'm pulling the thread. So I take the thread off and I just pull it on top of the surface to see whether it's a match.
And then you do that with the other options and then do a process of elimination.
And I do. So a camera never lies. And each and every one of us owns a mobile phone. So literally just take a quick happy snap and see whether that's for you.
Yeah, and with the variegated threads, my favourite trick is I will look at the side of it and I'm like, I just don't know about this. I look at the top.
Yes.
Because around the top of the thread
is how it looks when it's quilted.
Exactly. And since discovering that,
yep, it's just
I've made better choices.
On the front, you do that and say, wow, that's what my thread's going to look like.
Because as you say, Liz, it's all about choices.
Okay, tell me, when you take your quilt off the frame, how do you finish it?
Well, first I feel very excited for the achievement.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
the joy of quilting. But aside from that, I take it out and as I'm rolling it back, I check that I haven't missed any threads to bury and all that.
Yep.
And if there's something pop up like that, I sort it then. Once I've done that, I get it out of the frame and I go to my machine with a 1mm stitch length and about 1/8 of an inch in, maybe a bit more, where the binding will cover. I actually stitch around the whole quilt and I find it just covers the quilting so it doesn't unravel.
Exactly. And it's great because when you put the binding on, it's all covered.
And then we don't have to worry about, because have you been in a situation when you're binding and you didn't do that and you're like,
yeah, I've started to see 2 or 3 stitches because it was locked off here where I started the panto. So,
and then we've trimmed it away so it's not
yep.
anchored. Mm-hmm.
So I always do that. That is it's one of those things that somebody told me years ago and I was like, really, should I bother? And I tell you what,
it's worth it. There's nothing that makes you cry more than when it unravels.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then the other one too is, in talking about completing every section, have you ever been rolling a quilt back and realised you've missed a section?
Yeah.
How did you go about it? Was it still connected to the take-up?
No, I have actually taken it off. It's sort of like a little bit of a Lizzy signature. And it is, especially when custom quilting, because I will do things in like I get into that zone, and I will say for me, because I will take the time for visibility to change the feet on the machines, because Grace really do a fabulous job with their accessories.
I love this. Even so many fat. I'm just like, this is just choice.
The older generation, we like the high vis. Okay, so when we have the high vis, so I will find it, even though I say to myself, yep, all the background stipple's done, and I bring it back and I go to start on something else and I think I've nailed it, I always go back. I always check. It's take the time and make the time is really, I think, what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And, good practices right at the beginning can make for a much, much happier quilting experience because
And it elevates your confidence too.
I think it does.
Because when you've got all these tips and tricks up your sleeve, you feel more confident and comfortable, and then you're like, oh, actually, I've got this. But when you have something happen, you're like, oh.
Yeah. So I think we actually might leave it with the tips and tricks because we're going to come back with another fun video. Because what are we doing, Jackson?
So we've got Hazel the Hedgehog by Elizabeth Hartman, and I think they're gorgeous. So I've named mine Frankie.
Mine's Hazel.
Actually, I might change it to Henry so it actually rhymes, stick with Hedgehog. But anyway, we're excited to quilt it, aren't we?
So Hazel and Henry.
Yeah.
So the challenge is we are going to do a little bit of custom work with rulers and background fills.
And play around with the awesome feet. You know the foot I'm really looking forward to? You know the micro stipple foot?
No. The 360, the Wonderfoot.
You've got to show me that one now.
Yeah, I know. So we'll leave you there and stay tuned and we'll be back with another video.
See you soon, guys.
Hi everybody and welcome. I'm Karla here with the Grace Company. Today I get to talk to you about the automation. I decided I wasn't going to free motion it because it called for automation. So I just want to go through and talk to you a little bit about the automation and what a great addition it can be to your sewing and quilting tools. So what I want to talk to you about is as I'm putting my quilt on, I measured and found my center and started pinning from my center out. So I'll start at my center and pin out this direction, and then I'll start with my backing. And your backing is right side facing down because you want the wrong side up, okay? If you have a piece back. If you don't, if you just one piece of cloth, then it's not really good matter. Unless it's a print that has a wrong side and a right side. So make sure that as you're pinning, you're doing it so you're seeing and found my center and started pinning from my center out. So I'll start at my center and pin out this direction, and then I'll start with my backing. And your backing is right side facing down because you want the wrong side up, okay? If you have a piece back. If you don't, if you just one piece of cloth, then it's not really good matter. Unless it's a print that has a wrong side and a right side. So make sure that as you're pinning, you're doing it so you're seeing the wrong side facing you and pinning across from the center out. So that's what I did, and to make my line to line up my top, I pushed my machine towards the back, and then I had it butt up along this pole here, and then I just sewed along to make a nice straight line. And this straight line here, you can see that I've sewn right here, helps me to line up my quilt. And then I tacked my quilt down. So I tacked my quilt down, I started here, and I went up and then across. And I do that as close to the edge as possible so that it just lays. And so in case my sewing machine sews off the edge, it's not going to catch underneath your quilt and pull and tear it. We don't want that to happen. So it's really important for you to tack down your quilt. I changed my stitches per inch, my SPI, to 6 because I just like it. It makes it a little easier. So that's what I would call my basting stitch. The basting stitch is great, but sometimes it's a little loose, and I want a little bit more tug on the edge. So that's why I use 6. So you can use 5. You can, I think it goes down to 4, but that makes it, you have to go a little slower, and it makes it a little larger stitch, kind of like the basting stitch. So I like them a little closer together, but not too close. And so that's what I did. I tacked it down. So I started with my outer border because I'm working down my quilt as I'm quilting. And I found this design from Wasatch Quilting Designs, and I imported it onto my tablet. And this is my first border that I did. Now you can tell, instead of going around, it's not a border that has a corner, it's a border that I sewed straight across. So I'm going to turn my quilt and do the sides, making sure that they butt up next to each other, because I thought that would be a better look for me. However, when I was sewing my inner border, I ran into a little snag, and I don't know what I'm going to do to fix this, but I'm going to do something. And I will let you know what I do. And notice that right here on this end, I have a little gap, where on this end I don't. So I might be unpicking it, or I might figure out something else. I'm not quite sure, but that's one thing that you need to remember as you look at the design before you start quilting. I didn't. I was in such a rush to get things done that I didn't stop and weigh the pros and cons to quilting this design here. Not realizing till I got to the end that I was going to have a gap. Yes, I make mistakes too, so I brought my unpicker because, yes, I often make mistakes. And I have unpicked a lot. And that's just the nature of quilting. Sometimes you have a good day, and sometimes you have a little problem, and you just either need to unpick or figure out a solution. So anyway, knowing that, it's just something that I haven't really run into before with my borders, because I've done borders that have a corner and gone all the way around. And this is a little different for me, so it's a learning curve like anything else. So know that I am constantly learning like you are. And then for my design here, I have this triangle here because I cut these off. Now, if I hadn't cut them off, it would have been a zigzag all the way up. So I just cut them off so I could sew the borders on nice and straight. However, I'm not quite sure what design I want to put in here to make it look cohesive. It might be just bubbles in this area. That's what I might do, but I'm not sure. So I'm not going to show you how to do that. So I just want to jump in and talk to you a little bit about blocks and your select and sew. So what I'm going to do is back out, and this is my home screen on my automation. And do a block at a time. I'm doing each of these individually. I had the option of making a diamond, but my designs that I chose and purchased online are just 60-degree triangles, that shape. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go into my select and sew. And that's where you place a block at a time. And you can see all my blocks that I purchased. And I'm going to use this one, and I'll show you what it looks like. See, it looks similar to my circles and my border, because it has the circles and it has the curves. Now, I could choose different ones, but I thought, well, let's just make this cohesive, and I make enough quilts. And if I don't like it, then I'll choose a different one next time on another quilt. So what I'm going to do is I'm coming to my placement screen. It says pattern placement. This is your placement screen here. And I have selected my pattern already, or my design. And now I want to move down to the triangle. Now you have different placements. We have blocks. See these little gray circles? They're called placement nodes. And they're what you use to move your machine and place your design onto your quilt. And so you have different placements. This is 4-point, so if I had a block that I wanted to use 4-point, it makes it pretty accurate. If I had a block that was just very even and I'd use 2-point, that's the quickest way. Then you have 2 points for borders, and 1 point if you have a center design. Say if I was quilting a hexagon, this whole shape, I probably want to use my center point and size it so it sizes larger enough to fit in this area. But I'm going to move down. I'm going to use my triangle. And you see here I have my equilateral triangle. Now, if you had this is not an equilateral triangle right here. It's just a regular triangle. Now, to do that, I would set on that, and that will make it, but my design is already an equilateral if I had just a regular triangle. Now, you have different settings. You can flip the design. You can set your margins so the design size is a little smaller, but I'm just going to use my placement, and I'm just going to go down here and do this one. Right here, this green one and this blue one. And I'm going to move it up to the top because I like, on triangles, they can be a little tricky. So I'm going to tap, I've moved my machine so my needle is right there at the top tip of my triangle, and I'm going to tap on this top node. See how it shifted down? Now I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to move my machine right here to the very, very edge. And then tap on this little node, see how it's moving in. And I'm going to move it over here too. And I'm going to tap on this one. Okay, you can see, it looks like it's going to be really small, but it's not because I've sized it. Now, there are tools inside the automation that are awesome. And one of those tools is called the marking tool. And it's over here in your little toolbox. And it's called the marking tool. So I'm going to move my setting down. And this is the marking tool screen. I love the marking tool because it allows me to draw a line around my triangle to make sure that my design is sewing inside the area. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start down here at this point right here. And I'm going to tap on Add. And as you'll see, I don't know if you can, that there's a little brown dot. And now I'm going to move up to the top point, and I'm going to tap on Add again, and notice that I have a line. And so now I'm drawing the shape around my triangle to make sure that my design is going to sew within the area. Now, you don't always need to use this, but it's a nice little tool that if you're not sure if you've got it placed. Now, this right here is my zoom in. So I'm just going to zoom in. I'm just going to tap on it. See? And it looks pretty good. It looks like I'm going to sew pretty nice and stay inside my triangle. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap on Quilt. And the automation is going to connect. Okay, so now I'm in my quilting interface screen, and this is where you're going to sew your design. And inside the quilting interface screen, you can see that I have my stitches per inch is 11. My pattern height is 6.42, which is good because my design is just a little over 6 inches. My block is a little over 6. And then you can change these or work with them if you want to, okay? So height is 6.5 roughly, and the width is just 5.431. So look at that and notice those right here onto the side. And then you have the pole bobbin, which I'm not going to do, but I'm just going to go in and notice that it's going to start in the center right here because you've got a round green circle and a round red circle. That means that design was made to start and stop in the center. So I'm just kind of going to go up here to the center. And I'm going to go into my toolbox, and I'm going to do a single stitch. And I did my single stitch. I'm going to pull my design up. Now, I'm going to tap on sew, and it's going to do its tie-offs, and then I'm going to start sewing. I'm going to hurry and cut my little tails, my thread tails, and then I'm just going to back away and let the automation do its thing. If you are leaning on the pole, it can distort your design and it won't sew correctly. So stand back, let it do its thing. So I'm just going to tap on sew and get my scissors ready. And it's asking me if my needle is up. I'm going to say, okay, it is. Really important. I'm just going to let it do its thing. There we go. It's done. It's mesmerizing, isn't it? So do we have any questions? No comments? Hello, Terry. Welcome. I didn't think anybody would show up so close to Christmas. So now I'm going to tap on Finished right here. And now I'm back into my placement screen. And I'm ready to pull my bobbin, and what I'm going to do is just use the button because I'm not connected to the automation, and I'm just going to pull it up and I'm just going to cut it off. So I think it'll look really good when I place all of them and sew them. So each of them will have their own little block and design. Like I said, I'm not sure what I'm going to do here, but I will figure it out for you. Anyway, let me just go into the border screen because I wanted to show you a neat little feature now that I've quilted that. I want to go back out of this and I want to go into my gold features. Okay? On this, let me just back up a little bit. We have Select and Sew where you can place your block designs and patterns, and we have different placements for you to use to place your designs. So if you have a hexagon, you'll maybe want to use 1 point, like I said. Now if you have a block all the way across, then you can use your 4 point or your block. Okay? So those are really nice features of the automation. Then we have pantograph, and in the pantograph is where you'll quilt your edge-to-edge designs, or your designs all the way across and all the way down. So it's the same repeating design all the way across and all the way down your quilt. That's where you'll quilt those designs, and we call those a zone quilting project because you can do this either on the rolling frame, which is this frame here, or your hoop frame. So the automation is so intuitive that it tells you where you need to move your sewing machine to place your markings, and then it'll sew your design all the way across and all the way down your quilt. It's just really easy. It was something that I toyed with when wanting to quilt this quilt, but I decided to do each block at a time. So then we have some more features for you, and these are like little golden nugget features that you can purchase that will enhance your quilting and actually make things just a little bit easier for you, and they're called the gold features. And one of those features in the gold features is borders and corners. So with borders and corners, I just want to take you in there. And you can see I have my marking tool. I just need to remove all. All right, so I'm just going to go back out of there. All right, let me go back into my gold features, my borders and corners. You have different types of border styles. You have miter, you have corner, you have block, and none. None is what I use, but most of the times we will use corner because you'll have this intersection and a corner. You'll want to place that. So with borders and corners, rather than placing each corner first and then sewing your center section, it allows you to quilt from one edge of your border all the way over to the other edge. Let me see if I can find a design. And let me go and place my markings. So notice you have your border here. And so what I'm going to do is move my machine right up here and just quickly show you how cool this is and how nice it makes it. And borders and corners is very particular about how you move your machine and how you place. And I'm going to go to my inside. So I just set my outside border on my left side using this mark here and this mark here. So I went up to the top corner and then down that edge so that it would align. Now I'm going to the inner border, inner corner of this, and I'm going to tap on this one. And see, notice how it, sorry, it moved. So now I'm going to go down so it aligns it all nice and straight. And now see how it moves to make it nice and straight? So now I'm going to move over here to do my right side. And I'm going to go to the outer corner first and tap on this. And see how it lined up? I'm going to go straight down. And then I'm going to come and do the inner. So instead of putting your measurements in, what you're doing is moving your sewing machine and it's calculating what the measurements are. So now let me go in and we can set our margins. Now with this being the outer border, what I did is I unlocked it so I could set the outer margins a little wider and I don't want an inner margin. All right, so I don't like the inner margins because it sews up too high. So I just hope that I make my placements well enough. So see how it came in? So now you can sew your binding on and your border design's not going to sew up out of that, okay? So now let's go get a pattern. And let's go select our corner first. And I'm going to get back into my patterns. And I want to go over to my border sets. All right, so let's do this here. It's a corner, it's the curly Q. And I've selected it. You see that the blue box is around it. And now I'm going to tap on open. All right, notice how it placed it automatically. Now I'm going to go and place my border, my center design. And I'm just going to use this. It's a pair, my curly Q. And so it's automatically going to fill in that area and have it sew correctly. Now, if you don't want to, if you want to do your own calculations, you can. It just makes it easier. So now when this design is sewn, it's going to start right here, and it's going to start sewing all the way up and across and down. One other cool feature about borders and, about gold features is if I tapped and said sew all, there's another cool feature I want to talk to you about that is just so invaluable, and it's up here in my plugins, and it's called fabric compensation. So say you don't have your quilt on exactly straight, and it's hard to get it just exactly straight. What you do, see this darker green line? You're going to go up along the edge, outer edge of your border, and you're going to just tap. And notice that I'm getting these little dots. It's going to have my design stay sewn within the parameters. So say I come in just a little bit. I just want to show you. See how it dipped down? Right here. All right. So that just helps you. And you'll go along all four sides, or all, how many sides? So then I'll tap on next, and you'll do the outer edge. Then you'll tap on next. You'll do the inner edge. Then you'll come up along the bottom, so it's not going to sew off. And then you go next and next. And once you have done all your little dots all the way around it and told it where to sew, then you can sew your design. And it just helps keep it nice and within the parameters of your border and not so off. And that is such a neat feature. If you haven't used it and you have it, you need to. It's awesome. So anyway, I'm just gonna cancel out of here. And that's just pretty much it. What I wanted to show you today. I am grateful that you have joined me and taken time out of your busy schedule. I know it's a busy, hectic week. Do we have any? Yes, this quilt here, I will have the Santa tree. Yes, I do have the pattern for it. So Ellen, this Santa quilt, I did get the pattern for it done. So email me, Karla at graceframe.com, and that's Karla with a K, Karla at grace, Grace, frame, frame.com, and I will email that to you. Janet George has a good question. Any pros or cons for having the hopping foot pointed to the back or to the left? Okay, yes. One of the pros for having it to the back is that you can butt it up next to your bar and sew across to make your quilt straight. Now this little thing right here, the needle, the hopping foot shaft is going up and down your quilt. And by having the foot pointed towards the back, you won't get the black grease up against your quilt when you push it towards the back. So make sure you wipe that off. And notice, I don't know which camera we're on. Okay, but notice that, see how dirty it gets? So if you move it back and it's to the left, then it's going to, this shaft, as it's going up and down, it's going to hit back against the pole. So make sure that, I'm going to wipe mine off. Make sure that, I really like it towards the back so it doesn't hit that. So if I'm very, very careful and know that I might have a tendency to hit the pole, and as your quilt's rolling up, you might get smudges. So just be really careful. And that's why I like it facing towards the back. It's not hard to do with the 21 because you can adjust it from the side to the back. So make sure that you decide how you want to quilt, just knowing that little tip. But that's why it's facing towards the back. Arlene, does this computer work on the Qnique 15 Pro? Absolutely. The automation works on all of our machines. All of our Qnique machines, the automation works with. So make sure that you add these tools to your arsenal, and I just really appreciate you joining me. And thanks, Lizzy. We love you all, and we so appreciate you being a part of the Grace Company and being a part of our family. Like I've said, my mom loves the big family, and she loves that the company is growing in size, and so thank you very much.
Welcome to the Grace Company. I'm Nathan Erznosnik, and with me today we have a special guest,
Cody Wayman.
Cody Wayman, in charge of all of the engineering from Grace Company. And one thing I really like, Cody, if we really think about this, there's a lot on your shoulders because it's not just what we're dealing with here and we might think within the US. It might not just be even internationally. I like talking about this being a global responsibility. Tell me a little bit about what makes your job so great and share a little bit with our customers.
For one of the things that I really love is working with our customers. I really love getting your feedback and your opinions, and I love being able to interact and see you create masterpieces. It's very fun and very rewarding because I do truly enjoy all the wonderful things that you guys do, because the quilting industry is the creators of some of the greatest stuff, and the things that they do and donate is just truly inspiring.
It is absolutely amazing. We're really glad to have you be joining us for this little bit of this kind of a tips and tricks piece. Cody, with that, it sounds like you're going to be able to walk through. I know if I think about this with our customers, sometimes there's this little bit of an intimidation. Sometimes they might not quite know why they're maybe struggling with a few things. Maybe it's the motion of the carriage. And with that, we're going to talk about 4 key things. And so, Cody, I brought you here because I know You're the master at this, right?
Yep, I'm the master. I got this.
With this, I know he works through this. He integrates it within our internal labs, with our sewing machine labs. You do this and help a lot go to our tech support. So with part of this, I really want us to think about how do we keep this simple? And we're gonna be looking at this with the carriage. We're gonna be looking at this a little bit with some tips and tricks during the process of quilting. We're gonna talk a little bit about thread, and at the end, we get to look a little bit at tension.
So one of the important things working with your workspace is making sure that you wipe down your tracks and wheels. It's very important. If you get a little bit of lint on there, it actually does make a difference when you are free motion quilting and moving your machine around, because you really do feel even a small amount of lint on your wheels. And so it's important for you to make sure that you are wiping that down. And I try to do that every time I change my quilt. It's just good to go through and walk and go clean all of your wheels and all of your track and just wipe them down with just a rag and water. And for the track, I just take 2 fingers and just wipe down both sides of the track and just rub it along all the way down the entire length of the track. And then for the carriage.
So here, just give me a second. Let me see this. So we get a little bit of the extra dust on there. I'm just going to say that's quite a bit of dust.
It's a lot. That's only half the track.
That was only part of it, and we don't use this frame all that often back here. That's great. So that was the track part, and I would say you would do that across left and right.
Yep.
What about the upper carriage as well?
Upper carriage as well. You need to make sure you wipe down all of your tracks. You do both the top and bottom, so you can get all your track all the way along the entire length of your system. Because even though this track is a very hard, nice, dense track, and it's very smooth, so you will feel those small little bumps and threads or lint, whatever builds up on your track very easily. And so even with cleaning your track, it's also very important then to also clean your wheels. So that's where we move then next to your wheels. And I just like when I'm cleaning the wheels, I just actually roll my carriage and hold my cloth against the wheels, which makes it very easy to make it so you can clean the whole diameter of your wheel.
So what we're saying is to keep it simple with the cleaning.
Yep.
The tracks both across left and right, and then on the carriage on the upper. And then the last thing, which is important, is we might have cleaned the track, but the wheels also collect that dust, right?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So what do you have for us next on the rail height? I see that that's one thing, and I'm looking at this. Is this correct?
This is not correct. This is too high here.
Okay.
I usually like to try and keep it no more than finger width above the bottom throat of your machine.
I like to talk about, for me, when I talk to customers, a pinky to fit underneath there.
A pinky, you can do about a 1/4 inch or less. You don't want it necessarily dragging super heavily on your machine, but you do. And then I usually try to line it up. There are letters and indicators on the back of our rails here to make it so you can set your height correctly.
All right, so I'm going to do this side for you. And what letter do you have back there that you're going to do?
A right now, actually.
Okay, so drop it down to A.
And that's about right there. So you can just barely fit your pinky right underneath there.
Okay, so coming back, Cody, if we were going to talk about why this is so important for a customer. So now we did the rail height. What can happen if that rail height is too low or too high?
So for one, when it's too high, your fabric will be coming up at an angle, and then you will hear this plucking sound, and it will actually sometimes even cause your fabric to pucker, which isn't great, and your tension will end up pulling a little bit weird, and then your needle's just coming in at an angle and it just doesn't pull your knot correctly. So it's really important for both your tension and your quilts to make sure that that height is correct.
I have had a couple people and they said, wow, my machine seems so stiff to move right now, and often that's because they forget to raise that, right? So the fabric builds up and then you end up with that extra pressure. So that's something
exactly. And so that's with the height. Then if it's too low, it will be, you have to raise it up, because especially your quilt, like Nathan's saying, it will build up, and you, especially when you get to the end of your quilt, you need to make sure that you raise that up, or else you will be dragging your machine around and it'll just feel really heavy.
So 2 last simple things with this. We talk about work surface and leveling.
Yep. The work surface, one of the things I just like to try and do is really just keep it clean. If you keep a box or something on your frame and you're just moving it around, you're gonna hit that and you're gonna screw up your quilt. You're gonna have your quilt over there and you're not gonna see it. So I do try to keep it. So when I am quilting and I get my quilt on there, I walk around back and I just try and clear everything off of it. So that way I'm not gonna be bumping into anything or hitting anything while I'm working. And then the other thing, the last important step is leveling, because it is very important, especially in the middle of your frame, that you get that leveled correctly. So your machine, if you move it around, it's not going to be rolling to one side or the other, or it's not creating a tipping point in the center, because you'll feel that when you're rolling if your center leg is too high. and it will make a big difference, especially in your free motion quilting.
With that, Cody, kind of as we kind of wrap up this little bit of tips and techniques before we move to others, I love it. Now, put your hand up if you're one of the guilty quilters that has, you probably have boxes, all of your bins of extra fabrics. I know that a couple times when I've done this and I've been doing automation or other things, my cord has caught on things on the back. So work surface and keeping your space clean is an important one. And obviously leveling it. The machine does feel different if it's not level. So Cody, thanks a lot. That was, again, a couple things that help keep it simple with the track and the carriage. The cleaning, the rail height, your work area, and ultimately leveling. The next thing I really am excited to look at, I know this is gonna be probably pretty quick, but keeping things simple, this one is gonna be talking about, Cody, I think it's some things you have during the quilting process. So go ahead and share with us your few insights that you have on this.
One of the important things that I think that it is very important to do is to make sure that you use the same material practice piece as you use for your main quilt that you've pieced together. And so it just is important that both your batting, your top and your bottom are all the same material. So that way when you're moving from your main quilt to your practice piece and you're changing your thread or whatever, it stays the same. So your tension's not going to change because it does require different tension for different materials and different batting thicknesses. And so we just want to make sure that you guys are using the same thing. And it's just a really easy, important tip.
So Cody, you're going to go ahead and put this on. This is something you put to the side of the fabric then so that you can move on and off this. I'm just going to do a quick demo. We're not using this as an official fabric, but I'm going to say, let's pretend. So here's your pretend thread, your pretend fabric, sorry. Your fabric that you have. And normally this is rolled up and it's on, but we're just going to say that your quilt is in this space and Cody's going to share a couple details on the side. So maybe what did you just do there? You kind of pin that to the top?
Just pin it to the top, and I'm just going to use one of our quilt clips to just hold it in place. That way we can be floating our fabric. And now, so if I am moving along in my quilt and I want to change my color of my thread or change my bobbin, I can just, or even change a needle, I can just simply roll my machine over here to my practice piece and make sure that, oh, after I changed whatever I changed, it's going to stay the same, because it's just very important while you're quilting to practice, practice, practice. It's just very important key piece, or you're going to be running into problems when you change things, making sure your bobbin's pulled up, just getting it all correct.
What we're saying is, if we're going to, before we ever decide and we run out of bobbin, before we go back, we really should be doing another quick sew off, a little bit of a test. And again, those fabrics need to be very similar in their thicknesses and in their style that you're going to be using to make sure that you get the right kind of stitch.
Exactly.
All right, great. We're going to look at our next section on things that we want to keep simple. And Cody, this is going to be on thread techniques. And I know that you have a few different thoughts on this, having to do with the types of threads, maybe what that means as far as the needle sizes, maybe what that means on how long we use a needle, and then how to make sure those get put in correctly. So I'm excited for you to walk through those with us. Go ahead and share with us your insights.
All right, so one of the important things that I think is good for especially new quilters when they are getting started, to use the same type of thread both on the top and bottom of their quilt. So inside your bobbin case, you want to use the same material inside your bobbin as on your top. It's also is even sometimes helpful to use the same color. And if you, just because when you're setting your tension, it'll be a little bit easier to make sure that you look the same both on, as you're pulling up your bobbin thread and your top thread. It'll be a lot easier for you to get started. It's not hard to use different colors, but it is just a little bit easier when you're getting started, so you're not having to mess with too many things. It's also important, if you do change your thread type, that you know which size needle you use for the type of thread you're using. We do have different size needles, 16, 14, and 18, that you can all use with these machines, and they work really well. And so if you're changing from like a 60 weight cotton thread to a 40 weight polyester thread, it's important that you also change your needle along with that thread change. Otherwise, you're going to be getting some different issues that you could possibly happen with your machine. Also, it's important when you install your bobbin that you make sure you hear it click when you install it, and that your thread is coming out. It's not caught up or tangled inside of it. And so that as we're doing that, you can make sure that everything's ready. One of those things with that, I'm going to show you guys quickly how to change your needle, since that's an important part of threading your machine.
Really, how often should somebody, sew with a quilt with a needle before they replace it?
It's important, I think, that you change your needle every new quilt. It really does. These needles move in and out of your fabric a lot of times. We're talking sometimes millions of times depending on the size of your quilt and the area that you're working with, just it's moving in and out a lot. And so that's just, it can put a little bit of wear on your needle. And then if you're using a semi-dull needle on a quilt that you've worked really hard on, you're going to be poking bigger holes and it just doesn't look as nice.
It can start to tear your fabric, so over time, if it is something that ever gets washed, it could start to fray. If you want that to last longer, needle is an important part. Keep it sharp, and if you really think about the cost of your fabric, your time, and your initiatives, it's a very, very, very simple thing, a very low cost to do.
We're just going to real quickly change the needle here so that way you guys can see how that works. And so you can just use our needle magnets here. These parts all come just inside your toolbox that come with our machines. And so we just get a new needle. And then there's also, we come with these needle magnets. They're just a long magnet that just kind of helps keep the orientation of your needle correct. It's just a helpful tool to make sure that you can visually see the orientation, because with these multi-directional needles, since they're stitching in every direction, it's important that they go in correctly. It's real easy for people to put them on backwards, I've seen also. It's not something that it happens often, but it is something that I've seen, so it's just important that you look at the scarf of your needle is pointing towards the rear of your machine. And you push it up all the way in, and I even usually will check there's a hole in the side of our needle bar. Make sure that that needle goes all the way inside. And then just tighten that needle loosely with your hand, make sure it's correct. And then put your needle magnet on there to check that orientation. And looking at it, I did put it on just a little bit crooked. And so now I can use that magnet, see how you can see how it swivels with it. And I can check, oh, now I can see really easily that that magnet is telling me where and how I should orient my needle. And I can get it nice and straight. Just tighten it just a little bit, and that has how you switch your needle out very easily, making sure that it is all correct.
Hopefully you can see that that was pretty easy, not necessarily a complicated process. So Cody, thank you very much. Again, if there are any questions that you have as you move through this regarding tools or where your machine's parts and pieces are, feel free always to reach out either to a dealer or to us at graceframe.com, because I know the questions are going to be there. And I also think following this up here at the end, we're going to give them a couple resources. Let's just quickly move Cody into our next item that we have, and we're going to talk about tension. So thank you for walking through those few details. The next thing is now how do we keep it simple with tension? And I think we're going to try to look at a few things. You're going to show us things to consider, things to look at, right? This isn't an in-depth video on everything to do with tension. It's really some things top level that really can help get you back on the path to having perfect tension. So Cody, go ahead. What are some of your thoughts that you have on that for us?
So one of the important things that I like to make sure that customers do is they start with their bobbin tension. You really just need to set it once for that type of thread that you're using, and a good just simple trick on making sure your bobbin tension is correct is you just rotate it up, and if it comes out of your hand, it's too tight, and if it doesn't roll up like this, it's too loose. And so that's just a good, quick, simple solution on how to adjust that. There's this screw inside your bobbin case, and that is how you adjust it. On one of the tools that I use for actually adjusting it is our hopping foot height gauge. It's just the right thickness to be able to, so that way you don't have to keep a little screwdriver around with your machine. And you can just use this actually to get into this screw here and adjust that tension. And it works really well as a screwdriver for adjusting that, since it's the right thickness there. And then when you install your bobbin case, I usually will grab the tail of the bobbin case with my left hand to make sure that it doesn't get caught inside when I install it. Just a good simple trick, because if you have it installed there, it causes all sorts of messes underneath your quilt. So I'll grab it and then use two hands to install it. Make sure you hear that click when it gets installed. And then you are ready to go with your bobbin. Now on your top tension, I always just start over on my practice piece to get ready to set my tension for a new material, a new fabric, or a new thread.
One other thing that comes up frequently is things were going smooth, everything was working the way we wanted it to. All of a sudden we go out, we swap out our bobbin, and all of a sudden something's not right, or we run out of thread and something's not right. What would you tell somebody if it seems like things were going good and all of a sudden something's not? What would be your couple last pieces you would like to share with us on how to get them back on track?
One of the most things that I tell people to do is always just go back to the very last thing that you changed. It's a really easy thing to do. Just if you just changed your bobbin, if you just adjusted your tension, if you just installed a new thread, go back and go through the whole process and make sure everything's correct. Double check that your bobbin tail is sticking out. Double check that your machine is threaded correctly. All of those things play a big part in making sure that everything is done correctly and that you get a good looking stitch. And if it's not, if you miss one eye or miss a loop somewhere or miss your check spring, you're going to have different sorts of tension issues. And so I just always go back to the last thing that I did and say, hey, what changed? And figure out the easiest, which is the easiest way for me to figure out what's gone wrong.
And then with that, again, if we ever go and replace this, again, we talked about the fabric to the side. It's always great. And I tell everybody the same thing. I would never go directly back to my quilt. Always do a little bit of a test piece, right? Always go back, sew it off, take a look at that to make sure that it's back to where you were when you started. Again, one thing I would like to say as we kind of conclude some of this. First, thank you very much, Cody. It's been awesome. I know there's a lot more. There are other details. Look for some of the other videos we have that really start talking about the exact threading guides and how we make sure that tensions, the threads pulled into those, the eyelets. I've had that happen where I'm like, what in the world? And I will cut the thread. I remove it, I simply re-thread the machine, and I've actually had that help solve my problems more times than not. Sometimes I'm not seeing why, but I'm able to get that done. So Cody, with that, thank you very much. It's been great walking through these 4 different areas and the tips and tricks. Again, these things keep you on track. And Cody, what do you think the importance would be on kind of applying all these to somebody's quilting experience?
Well, one of the important things is to breathe. Just you gotta relax. I know sewing, if you're just very tight and stressed out, it can be an awful experience. You can mess up as you're trying to free motion quilt or as you're trying to create a pattern. You've got to relax sometimes. I've even had people say that they walk away from their quilt, I got to relax. This is something I just got to do, and then come back to quilting. I think that's one of the key things to being successful is being able to breathe and relax and have fun with it. Quilting is fun, just sharing that passion, creating some wonderful things and being very artistic is great experience.
Wonderful. With that, if we think these things help you be able to breathe, right? Simple pieces to apply to the tracks, to the carriage, to the systems, to techniques while quilting, your needles, your threads, all those different items will make it easier for you. So if you have any questions, again, thanks for joining us. We're excited to have you part of the show. As we move on, again, if you have questions, please leave comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also follow us on Instagram and visit us at our website at graceframe.com. You can also contact your local dealer. We would encourage you to reach out. They're a great resource for you locally as well. And again, I'm Nathan Erznosnik here with Cody Wayment, Head of Engineering at the Grace Company. So thanks for joining us. We look forward to seeing you soon.
There we go. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us as we go through some of those educational videos. And I know with it, especially with that last one, it's something that people always have some questions on. And so that was a wonderful segment. We were able to go over that and give you just kind of some, more basic information there with it, and just some, tips and tricks with it. But kind of as this segment here is, we're going to do a little bit of a live demo with some of our TrueCut products. So kind of, Janet, why don't you show us kind of what we have here again, a little bit what we're going to do for this live giveaway.
Yeah, so we've got our TrueCut Comfort Cutter. So Roswitha, have you had a chance to use the Comfort Cutter at all?
Oh, there you go. Maybe one more time. Sorry, I think it might have just been muted there. Oh, you should be good now. I think we can hear you.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes, I have used my Comfort Cutter, and I love it. Could you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and we talked about it yesterday a little bit about how you can switch it over from left-handed to right-handed. And so that's an easy process. There's instructions inside the packaging for that. But I also wanted to show how easy it is to remove the blades if you're switching it out. So when it's all you've got a dull blade, so you can use your tweezers to pull it off. And then when you're coming back on again, you just snap it in place and you're ready to go again. But this is our great Comfort Cutter. It's designed so that no pressure is on your joints. I know a lot of people, when they first start with the Grace Company, one of our coworkers, she started and she's like, oh no, I hold it like this with my thumb. And she said, I noticed over time that the stress on my knuckles or on my wrist started happening. And we told her, you have to hold it with your forefinger here, and then that allows you to have just the weight of your hand on the track. And it has all our comfort cutters work well with our rulers because there's our track system in there. So you can see as it goes along that guide, so you don't accidentally veer off or come over and cut your ruler and nick your blade or accidentally cut your hand in any way. So yeah. So this, one of our great systems is our comfort cutter system.
Yeah, and it really is great. I know Janet talked about it, and we've talked about it. If you joined us yesterday, we talked about a little bit more about that tracking guide system. But really, with TrueCut and kind of the invention of the TrueCut system, is the owner of the Grace Company actually came to Nathan and said, let's create some cutting products. We said, let's not do what's just out there, because there's a ton of different cutters out there, right? There's so many different brands and all that. So what the owner said is, let's do something different, right? And so kind of what, trying to be able to be innovators of this quilting world, we said, okay, well, what are some issues that quilters run into, right? And so the kind of the TrueCut slogan is easier, safer, and more accurate. So that more accurate especially comes into play with that tracking guide system, because it actually kind of, almost I would say, interlocks. Yeah, just like that.
So you can see as I put this on the track, I can move the cutter, but the ruler comes with it. So it's not going to veer off of it.
Exactly. And then, it is safer as well, because we have, because again, just that safety part is with that edges, it just helps stop you from coming potentially up and over, so you don't nick your fingers that way. And then it is a lot more accurate, because now you're able to actually keep and do, a straight line versus veering off. And it was supposed to be a straight line. Yeah. Now it's, I don't know, some, curve that I'm doing. So TrueCut really is something that is easier, safer, and more accurate. And then I know a little bit yesterday, Ross, with us, we were talking with you, but you've had the chance to use the comfort cutter a little bit, or that tracking guide system working together?
Yes, I had. Like, if I have to cut something, I use a lot also if you have to cut like bigger strips, like the Pro Cutter, which is excellent, and the Pro Guide, for the ruler, and with the comfort cutter, excellent. Like, because otherwise, I probably would have wasted lots of fabric, because not keeping it straight, or yeah. And also something great with the comfort cutter, which is not related to the cutting, but if you go to classes, you can mark your cutter with a picture or your name. Is that correct?
Yes. So the clear section here in the handle comes out, so you can put a picture in there or a design or some fabric. So yeah, as you go to classes. And one thing that the last show that I just went to, there you'll notice here there's a little area, and this is the safety guide that lifts up and down for as you're cutting, so that your blade is not exposed when you don't need it to be. Now, I know some people said that they have had ones where as you're pressing down, it disappears, but they said the problem with that is they can't then lock it. And so sometimes if you press it accidentally,
yeah, or I'd
then
say
it exposes
sometimes
the blade.
with that as well, is if you drop it and it hits just wrong, like even if it hit your foot, and with that, again, pressure release, is it would release it, and so then there's the potential to cut yourself. So being able to have it lock is actually something that you really want, and then that way, you can safely leave it somewhere. And then I know Jana actually had experience where maybe the guide didn't quite get pushed down, so you went to grab it and it kind of cut you a little.
Actually, someone handed it to me, and I thought they had the guide on and cut my hand a little bit there.
I'm one of the people who forgets to put the guide on and get in trouble all the time.
Yeah, we had one person, they said during their class, if the instructor came by and saw their guide not on the cutter when they weren't using it, they would fine them $1.
Oh,
wow.
And she's like, it got pretty expensive pretty fast. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, you really,
because he will introduce it, and I will be poor in no time.
One of the great things too about the Comfort Cutter and all our rulers, so we have straight rulers in 3 different sizes, the 28, 45, which is this size, and then the 60, is it does have this guide here to use with our rulers on the track and guide system, but it does come with another guide in there so that you can use it with regular rulers as well. So you can use so I mean, I love the Comfort Guide, and I don't have all the TrueCut rulers, so I can use it with my other rulers with that other guide.
Yeah, I know that was the question, Pam Knight, is can you use the cutter with regular rulers? And yes, you absolutely can. Again, with that Comfort Cutters, we give you 2 different systems that actually help hold the blade in. That again, one will work with these rulers, so it can use that track and guide system. The other allows you to use it with any other rulers, because I'm sure, like Dan said, all of you, I'm sure, have a whole ton of rulers, so you can still use this with it. But let's go ahead and kind of turn the time over to you, Roswitha, and why don't give you a minute to talk about some of the amazing sales that we have with these TrueCut products.
Wow, yes, what we do have amazing sales. All the TrueCut products are 20% off, but the prices on the website are already reduced, but it's 20%. Then we have also the combos, which are reduced as well. So go to our website, and yeah, it's a great special.
Oh, that's amazing. 20% off. That's like
Yeah.
so good. I'm like, oh, maybe I should look at some TrueCut. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like we were saying this morning, all those specials last through the events. However, get there quick. Don't wait, because first come, first serve.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, guys, give me some work. I've been here packing and ordering and pinks and shoving and preparing stuff. I have sent pretty much halfway through all my orders to send out. I need some more. Keep them coming. Come on. Keep them coming. Order some stuff.
Yeah, I know. And then I know we talked about it a little bit yesterday, but I know, can you maybe, Roswitha and Hans, remind us, because I know we have I think it's 3 different shows you guys have coming up pretty much back to back. Because I know I think we'll have some promotions then and all that as well, so we can make sure that anyone that's watching can join in and actually maybe potentially go to those shows.
Sorry, what was?
Yeah, the shows. Next one is
Toowoomba, which is Queensland, west of Brisbane. A lot of country people would be up there. A lot of Upper New South Wales people will be up in Toowoomba. Great new venue in Toowoomba, the Craft Our Life event. And then finally there's a show the week after, which is the AQC, Australasia Quilt Convention, which has been finally held and moved from Melbourne to Brisbane. That's the international show. And then the week after, we're back in ACT in Canberra for another Craft Alive show with a big new venue again. We have the modern quilters there. We have the Canberra quilters there. There's a lot of quilt displays. But so if you are in Queensland, come to Toowoomba. If you can make it to the international show into Brisbane, great. If you are in Canberra, come and see us in Canberra. But if you are in South Australia or anywhere else, you can order online and we will supply. That's why we're doing those events for you. Western Australia, Tasmania, New Zealand, of course, anywhere we will look after you. But yes, we have a lot of events finally happening. And so keep on watching, keep on ordering. They're great products to use. The feedback which we're getting is amazing. And it keeps me busy packing orders and doing stuff. So, but yeah, keep them coming, guys. Order.
So just quickly, the dates. Craft Alive Toowoomba is from the 19th to the 22nd of May. The AQC is in Brisbane from the 26th to the 29th of May, and Craft Alive Canberra from the 1st of June till the 4th of June. So it's
awesome.
Not a weekend like this, it's until Saturday. So it's Wednesday to Saturday. But anyway, it will be a great event.
A 4-day event in Canberra.
4-day event in Canberra.
And Laurel, you'll be at both the Brisbane and the Canberra one as well.
Yes.
So come out and see Laurel, and she'll get to see everybody and meet all of you that are coming to the events.
But, it's going to be good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So pack more stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be wonderful. I know we're all really excited for it, for us going to those shows. So again, make sure to take down those. If you have the opportunity, be sure to come visit us, live at some of those shows, or in person, I should say. But thank you everyone for being able to join us kind of for this fun little bit product demo, and then thank you for Ron and Hoppy for sharing some of those amazing promotions that we have on the TrueCut products. 20% off on everything. That's crazy. That's
including
where,
the combos. That's
that's
where you're really going to be saving a lot.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, make sure to check that out. Let me go ahead and just really quickly so you guys can see. Again, there's that website, or if you'd like, you can give them a call there as well. Again, check out those deals because it is kind of while supplies last there. So make sure to get those while you can. But we're going to go ahead and kind of move into our next segment here. So what we have next coming up is going to be Karla's Trunk Show. So finishing quilts on different frames. And then we're also going to have a Q 21R and 21 Pro comparison. And then just after that, we're going to come back and we're going to do a kind of, ending the day, say thank you for joining us. And then we'll also do a giveaway, the grand prize giveaway for those that have pre-registered. So make sure to stay tuned for that. But we're going to go ahead and go right into this next segment here.
Thank you.
Okay, enjoy.
Hi, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I'm Nathan Erznosnik with the Grace Company, and with me I have
Karla Jerome. Welcome.
Wonderful. Karla is head of education. I'm really glad to have you in studio with us today to talk about. Hi, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I'm Nathan Erznosnik with the Grace Company, and with me I have
Karla Jerome. Welcome.
Wonderful. Karla is head of education. I'm really glad to have you in studio with us today to talk about a couple things. Behind us, it looks a little bit different. One of the key things I love, Karla, when you're out there working with customers, I know when you're doing education, I know the same thing when I have a chance to either be at a show or to be part of a conversation on the phone. Our customers have a couple key questions that they bring up. And I'm looking at answering those today by looking at the frame sets. And if you'll notice, we have a bunch of Karla's quilts around us. And so really, if we're going to start, we're going to look at a few things. One, I want to really look at quilts that were done on specific frames. And we're going to hear a little bit about the story behind why they were done on those frames and what you might be able to find out in determining which frame or what type of system might work best for you. So stay with us as we go through this. Karla, I know that there's a big passion you have. In fact,
I do.
Before we started this, you said this is actually some of the history of Grace Company by looking at some of the quilts we're going to look at today. Why would you say that this is part of the history of Grace Co. as well?
Well, see, I started at the very beginnings of the Grace Company, and I started quilting, and we were making hand frames, and I love quilting, and I got into it, and I started making quilts and using them on the frames to quilt them, and then we got quilting machines. And so with each quilt, there's a little story of the company and why I made it to tell. So.
Wonderful. With that, I actually would like to work us through part of that story by starting over here on my left.
Okay.
And the reason I bring that up is this is where a lot of you actually might start your journey. And so this is the Cutie tabletop frame. And part of this, we're not going to talk a lot about those frames in specific. We would encourage you to look at other videos. Karla has done several. There's been a lot of educational components. We have features on those as well. But we're going to start with this tabletop frame. You'll notice it's on a table. It allows you to start with your domestic machine. And so I want to take a quilt, Karla, that kind of shows how and what you maybe did on something like this. And this one was done on a hoop frame. And this, Karla, I believe, let's show this to everybody here. Let's go ahead and open this one up. Was done also with a domestic machine,
yes,
right?
Yes, a little small domestic machine because at the time we were just starting to make the hoop frames, and we wanted to test them out and see, what little things we could bring to the table to improve them before we started manufacturing. So I was testing it out with this quilt on the machine. So it was really fun, a little frustrating at times because I was used to using a long arm, and notice that my blocks are a little bigger.
Let's maybe hold that. So if we can maybe take a close-up right here on my arm, Karla, we can take a look. Now I'm also noticing that these patterns go across, and so one of the things I like talking about is, again, you mentioned that the blocks were a little bit larger, so this is something that if you have a domestic, now this is gorgeous, and I'm looking at this thinking like, how did you really accomplish this with the domestic machine? So maybe talk to us briefly about how you did it with domestics. And then this quilt's really big.
It is.
And this was done on a hoop frame. So this was done on a frame that's what, about 4.5 feet wide?
Right.
So this is done on a hoop frame that fits into a 4.5 foot space. So maybe walk through a little bit. Maybe you can show them. I'll hold this for you if you want to talk about any of those pieces on there.
So anyway, my blocks are a little bigger, but I didn't know I was going to be quilting this on a hoop frame with a small domestic machine. But it was good for me to learn the process. So I learned, number one, that if I just marked how far my machine would reach, then I wouldn't hit the back of it, and that was the most frustrating thing. So you learned from my mistakes and my learning curve, and so we have brought that information to you. So that's really important, why we test the machines out and use them ourselves. So that was one really big thing. And then it was just so much fun to be able to shift the quilt and not be able to just make it easier for me and moving across the frame. And so I chose a design that was just an edge-to-edge design and just had fun. And I learned as I went along and just quilted. So
wonderful. So with it, if you kind of think back, we're looking at a smaller frame, either like this at 4 foot or the one over here behind Karla. This quilt, which is a fairly large quilt, what would you say the size of that one was?
Oh, it's probably a little larger. It's probably a double bed.
So a double bed size. And again, if we take a quick look behind me, this is a domestic machine. So here what we have is a smaller mid-arm machine. This one has a 9-inch throat space on it. But by being able to put that on a trolley, you get to move those and it really converts your domestic machine.
So
and as Karla mentioned, we go through this in sections. Now, we're not going to show all those details, but we encourage you to look at online. You can go to a dealer as well to look at the hoop frames. There are videos that show actually how you engage with it. I know Karla's done some physical videos that show that quilting process. I've done that as well. So I'm going to ask you to reach out and take a look at that. Let's take a look in the middle here, and I'm going to go to one of the first ones here. And this one, if I were to ask before I show everybody, was this done on, I'm going to call it a roller frame or a much larger frame. Behind us, we have a 19, but again, one of the nice things is you can use some domestics on this, and this frame is much larger. It actually is out to 8, and with certain frames like our Continuum, out to 12 feet. The fabric rolls around those. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about how you might have completed this one, and then why, and how, what was the process that made it a little bit easier by using the roller type of a frame. How do you want me to hold this? Let me hold this top edge there.
It's kind of fun.
It's a big quilt, so I'm not going to hold it all. I'll kind of do this for you.
What's fun about this is I was able to this was really my very first, no, not my very first free motion quilt, but one of the first that I used rulers and templates, and I'm just really proud of. And it was just kind of a fun design that I chose circles because we were making our circle cutter at the time. That's why I say my quilts tell the history of the company. But I just wanted to make a circle quilt, and the rolling frame just with the longer arm machine gave me more quilting area. So I wasn't hitting the back as often. Yes, you do still need to make sure that you're marking and know how far your machine will reach so you don't mess up your design. But it was a lot of fun filling in with all these little pebbles, and I got really good at it. So it was a lot of fun.
With that, one of the things I really love, just to tell you what I appreciate with Karla as well, one of those things is she's very creative. And she can do traditional, she can do modern, she can do other things, but she really likes to decide how to push some of those bounds. Again, before we showed you some simplicity on completing them with your domestic machine on a small hoop style. This is one that definitely shows you, as you continue to expand your space, you can actually have more quilting room. And on the roller frame, one of the nice things is it actually pre-bastes everything. So if we were to briefly take a look at this frame behind us, those fabric layers get brought into the throat of the machine. And then again, one of the great things about the Grace company is you can start with your domestic. Behind Karla, we have a 15. Behind me, we have a 19. You can keep those same frames and then move and upgrade your machine head when you're ready to do so. So I love this quilt with the creativity. I like the fact that this is something you used both rulers to give you some exactness, along with your own individual way of building and bringing out those different patterns. I think this is a beautiful one. This is one of my favorites that she has done. And she has a lot, so that's the difficult thing. So I'm gonna stick to this one here really quick on a more of a roller type of a frame. This one you're gonna see is gonna look a little different than the hoop one. I mean the one that she did with the circles. But why don't you share a little bit about why you completed this quilt the way that you did, and a little bit more about the frame and the machine and why you selected those for this quilt.
I used a 21 Pro. At the time, it was kind of a new machine, and I was, again, testing it out to see how well it worked with all the accessories and everything. I used, again, rulers on this. I love ruler work because of the exactness, and I just had fun designing this and filling in these blank spaces. You know, it was easy to kind of fill in these spaces because you have the blocks and the pattern.
So share with me really quick. This one looks like there's quite a bit of ruler, a lot of precision in here.
Yes,
Maybe just share with me, you have this on the frame, then you have the ruler base. We're not going to, again, go into detail on all those accessories, but we do have videos that show you how you can use those add-ons with the different machines. But that was underneath, and you have this ruler that helps create this exactness, right?
Right, and a ruler base that you can press down, and you know, it's like a little table to hold your ruler in place so that you can have the machine foot follow along and make these nice precision lines. And I just really had a lot of fun filling in, exploring different types of fillers to fill in this area. Got pretty good at that. And then I just tried a little bit of pebbling.
So let's kind of hold that for a minute. Maybe we can get a close-up. Again, one of the things I like that you're talking about, Karla, is you use the rulers to create some consistency and some accuracy, and then you went through and then you then personally used your own free motion process to do a fill on this. How did you feel the 19 was as far as helping you complete this quilt? Did it help you out? Was it similar to other types of our other machines as well?
When they sew beautifully, and to have the accessories available to explore other ways of quilting is so much fun. And you know, you just have that extra throat space that you want and need, and especially with the ruler base, because it takes up some of that quilting area and you don't want to hit the front of your front pole. So having that longer arm machine, awesome.
Good. Let's go ahead and flip it over. I know you said you like the back, because sometimes the back can be just as fun as the front.
Yeah. So it just makes it fun and whimsical, and I always add a strip or a piece back. I like that.
Wonderful. So as we're going to look at, I'm going to kind of move behind you, and then we'll kind of come back my way here. I'm going to grab this one. This is a fun one I want to pull out.
Yeah. I did this on the hoop frame.
Hold that. Is this the right way there?
Yeah, that's the right way.
So this one's a fun one. So this was done on a hoop frame. So going back, a couple things we've talked about is, one is you're able to see that you can complete different size quilts on different size frames. You also can use different methods of quilting. So you've done ruler work and free motion, and again, that can be done with different size machines and different size frames. And then there's some conveniences that come into play. You talked about if you want to be able to go through more of an area at one time, you would use a longer throat machine. Again, if you start with your domestic, you end up just doing a little bit smaller sections at a time, right? Now, tell me a little bit what inspired you to do this quilt, and then this was done on the hoop frame. So maybe share a little bit about your experience with this on the hoop frame.
This just kind of morphed into this quilt. I don't even know, I can't even remember why I started it, but I had all these little strips of reds and pinks, and I thought, well, let's put them together and see what they have. And they came in and turned into lips. But what's fun about this is I used these shapes, these little squares, to make my basket weave design to enhance the outside edge of the lips. And inside here, I just free motioned whatever the heck I wanted. And that was so much fun. It's just to go let loose and just do whatever. And you notice that I get a little tighter into here just to accentuate it.
Maybe we can just take a close up. Let's hold this for just a minute. I'm not sure if we can get a close up in here on this area to show how that is a little bit more intricate. She spent a little more time doing some free motions on this. Now, Karla, as you did this on a hoop frame, you would go through this in sections as you came across.
Absolutely.
Did you find that it worked well? Did you find there was a challenge that you had with that at all?
No, I found it really worked very well, and I loved it. I loved all three layers being sandwiched together and me just shifting along. And now, I don't like to baste, so I didn't baste, but if you do like to baste, be my guest.
And that is one thing. We've done a lot of different quilts on the hoops. If you get that top edge usually together and tight, then it does help pull that, because actually the fabric gets pulled gently across the surface, which makes it easier. I'm going to go look at one other thing. I want to jump into this one behind me. We're going to stay here, and then we're going to look briefly at a hoop frame. But this one I'm going to bring up because this one also is another element. So not only a little bit that we're going to talk about with frame, but this one was done a little bit. This one you finished with some computer automation. And so the reason I want to get into this is, again, going through some of those beginning spots. Start where you're comfortable. You can start with domestics. You can start with a frame that you can put up and put away. You can get a more permanent solution. You can get larger machines. And you can then at that point, if you're maybe even not comfortable doing it on your own, you can also design patterns or use existing patterns. So let's go ahead and show everybody this. And I know you had a pretty good story, so we're probably not going to be able to open this one all the way up. We will see here. There we go.
Okay, so this was my very first quilt that I ever kind of just designed. So I saw something similar and I just decided I'm going to try my own pattern and make my own pattern. And also we were introducing the automation at the time, and we were all learning how to make patterns and designs and put them in. And so I made up this little heart border. I did this little one.
So hold on a minute, let's get everybody a chance. I'm going to hold this so you can take a look at that heart border.
So I designed that.
So she went on the software, and you were using the QCT Pro, so that software allows you to design. So then you designed this, and then you created that, and then go ahead. What was the next one that you did as well?
This one right here, this little one to fill in this little triangle. I made that one up. I still have those designs on my computer. And then there was one more. Maybe there wasn't one.
Is it anything in the corner, or might it be this one? I know there's this one there too. So there's a few different patterns.
These little designs right here in the corner were in the system, but it was really just this one and this little heart one, and it just was really fun. And notice that we went along the bottom and we flipped it, and then we went along the top so that they kind of mirror each other, and they just make a fun border.
Wonderful. Now here's the thing. This one was done again on a much larger frame, so that was probably a 10-foot frame.
Right.
So a roller frame like this behind us on a 10-foot frame. Those particular pattern sizes can be done with some smaller machines, and you can do larger ones. I'm going to quickly do this, and then we'll do one last quilt here. But this one was done, and one of the things I like about it is this is the progression of showing you that where you're comfortable, you can begin. You can start there, and then when you're looking to do something a little bit more, this was not done on a roller frame.
No.
This was done on a hoop frame. This one also was done with automation.
Right.
So people might want to know, hey, can you, or how hard might it be? Why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience in doing this particular one with the hoop style method on moving it from zone to zone?
Oh, it was so much fun and really quite easy because, like I say, and every time I'm talking about the automation in hoop frames, the automation is so intuitive. It tells you where to shift your quilt and how far you need to shift it. So you just are actually helping the automation just by doing the work. So once we get it fully automated.
So I want to show you again. We can go up, we have the top border, and if you'll notice, this runs across the entire thing. So this goes, if you think about this, look at how wide this is again. This doesn't fit on one of these small ones, and so you do this in sections, but the software does help make that very easy. The same with this next border section.
Yeah, it turned out pretty good. And
one of the things I really like, Karla, that you started mentioning is like and again, this is a fun one to look at because even though the pattern was done, and let me hold, I think we did it this way across.
Right.
Even though it was done edge to edge, you can still use that automation to do things very specifically in spaces. You'll notice that the middle is different than the small border, than the midline or the external, the outer border. And I love kind of just showing how creative you can be. And I like bringing that up because, again, one of the things I think about as we talk with customers is they're struggling to try to understand where or how do I begin, if there is a difference, why one might frame be a little bit better than the other. And really the key thing I kind of really want to share at this point is that becomes personal. How much space do you have in your home? Maybe what is the budget? But the great thing is there's always a place to start, and I don't know if there's ever an end. You can continue to go with that. Yeah. So let's go ahead and look at this one here. And this one has a little bit of a different story too. And then we'll see if we have time for maybe one more. Let me see which direction. Oh, there we go. That's the right way.
All right.
So maybe we'll just hold this for a quick second, and then I'll kind of come and hold it all for you, Karla. So tell me a little bit about your experience with this. And again, this experience, if I really talk about this, is a little bit more about what quilting means to you.
Right.
And then having access to these tools and what those have done for you as an individual. So share that story with us.
So we were about to have our third 30th anniversary, and you know, I wanted to make a quilt that, you know, just showed my love of quilting. And it was at a time when I was kind of depressed and I was really struggling, and what this quilt did was help me explore that creativity and pull me out of that depression. And that's what any art form will do, is it just helps you stop thinking and focusing on those negative thoughts, and it helps open up the doors to, you know, so you're listening and you're deciding, oh, I don't like this block, or I don't like that block, and you're trying new different ways, and so all of a sudden those negative thoughts kind of just go away, and you just kind of are lost in the wonderful experience of quilting and your own art form. So this is what this quilt means to me. And besides that, has my sweet little mommy on there, and you know, it's hanging up in the front entry, and I always say hello mom when I come in the morning, so it's just a lot of fun.
Wonderful. Thank you, Karla. I want to come back and just reiterate, I believe that that's probably one of the best things. I've been in this industry for coming on 15 years, and I really love the fact that there is this personal piece of what quilting is.
Yes.
And whether it's relaxation, whether it's a gift for another, whether it's a space that you're at in your mind, but being able to use this to kind of help find a place and find peace, or be part of a bigger cause even. There's a lot of that comes along with quilting. So I really love hearing the story about that. We're kind of running here to our last couple minutes. We're going to pull this one up just as a last piece, because this is a project I believe that's almost done with Karla, that you're working through right now. Almost there, but here we go. And tell us a little bit about why you selected to do this one. Now, was this part of a pattern set that have you shown, or does anybody know about this one yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, so here you go. A little bit of a sneak peek. She's always coming up with new ideas and the way those patterns go together. But tell us a little bit, what kind of frame was this done on again?
This was started on the cutie frame, and I was showing in my, you know, webcam the progression of quilting and using different frames and machines, kind of like we're doing today. And so we started on the cutie frame with the domestic machine, and then I ended on a 21 on a rolling frame. So it's really kind of a fun quilt, and the progression of it, you can see right here, this is the area that I started right here in this corner with the domestic machine, and you can see my little kitty liked to lay on the quilt. So, but anyway, it was just a lot of fun, and the design, I kind of, you know, just kind of did the curvy design and had fun.
Wonderful. Maybe let's quickly throw it over. People might want to say, show us the back quickly. Yeah. There we go. There's a quick shot of the back.
I still have a few threads to cut.
A few threads, but that's wonderful. So Karla, let me just come back and then reiterate. So what I'm hearing you kind of mention again is, here we're in front of these different frames, different size machines, similar techniques can be done on them.
Absolutely.
And so part of what this one was, is your inspiration was, I'm wondering how we can give somebody an idea that you can accomplish something like this on a varied set of machines using some different techniques. And I really think that that's the important part of why, and what I'm wanting for you to get out of this, is to go back and kind of consider, where are you at right now? Where are you at in your home? What kind of space do you have? Do you need something that's this, like a tabletop that can be put away and pulled out when you're needing to finish a couple of those quilts? I know, you know, depending on where it is in the year, it might be a holiday time, but it also might be a time where you actually have a gift that you're looking to give to a loved one. Maybe it's a new baby that somebody has. And I always ask, how many tops do you have unfinished? And so really the set of tools that we're looking to offer really help make that a little bit more possible. And I really love being part of this Grace Company. Karla, do you have any last thoughts you'd like to share as an encouragement with anyone as they're trying to decide what this might mean for them in quilting, and what the tools might do to help them out?
Well, if you've ever wanted to, and you know, and if you just want to jump in and try something, these hoop frames are a great place to start. They're not extremely expensive, anything like that, and you can use a longer arm machine and upgrade, so you don't have to go and repurchase something. But if you have room in your home, you know, just stop and think about it. What direction I want to go? How do I want to quilt? You know, you can start anywhere. It just come to the Grace Company and check it out, because we love quilting and we love you.
And we do. So thank you very much, Karla. Thanks for joining me in the studio today. Just just again, as a reminder, if you do have any questions, we're going to ask that you log on. Please feel free to leave comments below. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Also, follow us on our Instagram and visit us at our website at graceframe.com or contact your local dealer. With that, I'm Nathan Erznosnik with the Grace Company, and thank you, Karla, for joining us with this. Thanks, everybody, for being with us, and we look forward to bringing you more soon. Enjoy your afternoon, your evening. Thank you.
Out. Now, knows that you have one of these machines. Talking about these two machines right here to my left. They are 21 inches. They are in the Quilting line, the 21R and the 21 Pro. They're both really easy to use, really easy to maintain, with awesome features built in. Now we're going to look at the 21R here for a minute. First off, I want to point out is the length. I'm going to go bring the machine forward, and you can see how much distance this covers. That is fantastic. We all have a lot of quilts we would looking to accomplish, and it's not a race. We don't need to get through them fast, but you can see with the throw space, you're going to be able to finish these quilts at a great pace so you can do more and more and more. Now that could be a good thing, because once your friends or your family knows that you have one of these machines and they're going to bring their quilt over to you, and guess who's going to be doing their quilting? It's not going to be me. The other nice thing about these 20-inch machines is how much you can do in a small amount of time. You're able to do larger patterns, which means you can finish quilts faster. Having a larger throat gives you that ability to do so. If you're looking at a machine and you have a checklist, things that will make your quilting easier, I hope that having adjustable handles is on there, because the Quilting checks that off. Let's go ahead and look at these adjustable handles. I'm going ahead and twist this, and what this does, it allows me to pull the handlebar out. Now this is nice because I get an extra about 2 inches of reach. So when you're quilting with a larger throat machine and you're vertically challenged, you're going to the very back. So if you're forward and you bring it all the way to the very back of the machine, you're going to maybe potentially reach forward like this, and you're probably hunched over. That's not enjoyable. We want you to quilt happy and enjoy what you're doing. So having that extra couple inches gives you the ability to move with your machine without bending over. The other nice thing about adjusting these handles is you can move them down, you can move them up. If you're doing micro stitching, you can bring both of these down. So now both of these handles are down, so you can do micro stitching, which allows you to get really close to your stitch and make sure you're doing what you want to do. The other nice thing is you can actually move these handlebars with the screw in the back. You can actually tilt them up or tilt them down to make sure that you are quilting in comfort. The other thing on your checklist is probably how easy it is to use. And I say that because when someone looks at a 21-inch machine or the word long arm, let's just look at that, the word long arm. You know, when I say the word long arm, and I know this because I've heard this before, but the thing that comes to mind is, oh, I can't afford it, or maybe intimidating. Those are the two biggest ones. But I'm here to tell you that the Quilting 21 is affordable and it's easy to use. With the ability to move it around easy and adjustable handles, that brings that level of comfort, joy into your quilting room. The other nice couple things about the 21R is it's fast. It stitches 1,800 stitches per minute, and it uses an M-class bobbin. We have a built-in bobbin winder on a different motor, so you could actually be quilting and wind your own bobbin, or you can wind your own bobbin without even the machine needing to be on. But it uses an M-class bobbin. Now these M-class bobbins hold a lot of thread, so you're able to do, again, more quilts. The other nice thing about these 21-inch machines is it has built-in stitch regulation with 2 different regulation modes, and it has based and manual. Let's go ahead and look at some of these different stitch modes that makes your quilting easier and more enjoyable. One is precise. Now what precise is regulated mode that keeps your stitches the same length. When you stop, the machine stops, and if you keep going, the machine keeps going. The Quilting 21-inch machine has this start-stop button on the right side. Once I hit that start-stop button on the right, it will turn the machine on. But because it's regulated, it won't actually start moving the needle until I move the machine around. I'm going to go ahead and show you that. I'm going to go ahead and pull the bobbin up just by the big button on the left. So there's my bobbin. All right. Now, you're going to want to tie that off before you start. But I'm going to go ahead and just start using the machine, and you can see how simple it is, how nice it is, and the stitch quality. I'm going ahead and hit start and move that around. All right, there you have it. Easy, super easy, and really, really fun. Now I know there's a lot of different ways to be quilting, and having a larger throat machine makes it easier to do your quilting process. I know we have our sit downs, removing the fabric, you have maybe a larger or a smaller throat machines, but the Quilting 21 really is very simple. The throat, the handlebars, the carriage with the ball bearings, it all brings one unique thing to what we're trying to do, is make your process and your journey easier and fun, all wrapped up into the Grace Unique 21-inch machine. Now that was precise. Now let's go ahead and go to cruise to turn that machine on. I'm going to hit the start button. Now as you move it around, I can go really slow to fill in any gap I want, or to go around a pattern, and it keeps the stitches consistent. And if I go faster, then it speeds up because it is regulated. So I'm able to do the same thing as precise and move it faster. Then if I stop, it's just going to cruise up and down. Unlike precise, when you stop, it is going to stop when you stop. Now, it also has a way for you to have your needle up, needle down. So if you want to stop with the needle in the up position, you can easily do that by pressing the needle up, needle down just for a couple seconds, and then that needle will face down in the down position. I'm going to go ahead and leave it up. The buttons on the right will access your stitches per inch. And so if you want to change it from 4 stitches per inch up to 16, you can. Now, of course, the smaller the number, the bigger the stitch, and the bigger the number, the smaller stitch. So you want to be able to keep it where you like it. Normally 10, 11, 12 is pretty common, but you can change that setting on the right handlebars. Now, a nice little small feature we built into our machine is if you're left-handed and you want your needle up, needle down to be on the opposite side, and your strong hand to start the machine, you can make that happen. Easily done by the settings in the machine. All right. So the machine itself, again, it stitches 1,800 stitches per minute, very fast. It has a built-in bobbin winder, has easy access buttons on the handlebars so you can change what you're doing with adjustable handles. So as you're looking at your machine and you're deciding which one to get, or you're ready for that upgrade, just know the Quilting 21 fits on the Continuum frame. So the Continuum frame is a frame that's 8, 10, or 12 foot. You want to make sure you have room enough to fit that size of frame, so you could have the Quilting 21. Fantastic machine, easy to use. You could add accessories. You could do the ruler base. You can add in lasers. You could add automation to it. So there's a lot of different accessories you can add to the Quilting 21. And the last thing I want to briefly mention is the maintenance of the machine. Our machines are so easily maintained by you. You oil the machine, and we have a wonderful instruction booklet to show you where to oil the machine. So the 21R, easy and fun to machine to use, easy to thread, larger throw space. Again, I'm going to show you that throw space. I'm going to bring it up. And we all know 21 inches is a big area to cover. Just imagine you're able to do all of that with the 21-inch machine with the easiness of the carriage to move the machine around. All right, so that was the 21R. Now let's look at the 21 Pro. The 21 Pro is our top of the line machine. Again, everything that I said about the 21, same with the 21 Pro. Easy to use, so fun to use as well. have that larger throat space on the 21 Pro. Now the 21 Pro does have a couple new things that the 21R does not. First off, it stitches 2,600 stitches per minute. Now that is really fast. Now I know some of you might be thinking, oh, I don't need a machine that fast, why would I? Well, having a machine faster allows you, when you're doing your quilting, your speed and your stitches. So let's say you come in a point, out of a point, and you're going very small, or you want to go a little faster. Maybe you have a lead foot, as I like to call it, and you want to go a little faster. Because you have the faster machine, you're able to keep up with the machine speed because the stitch is faster. And your stitches, when you come in a point, out of a point, because the speed is faster, you're going to have consistent stitches all the way through. So a faster machine is nice to have. It also has a 5-inch touchscreen. That's right, 5 inches of screen that you can touch to go through your settings, changing from your precise mode to your cruise mode, based and manual. And it also has other features like the bobbin sensor. You're able to put in the how much of the bobbin thread you have, and it will sense when it's getting low for you to change. It has a red dot to show you that. You can see kind of on the top corner, the red dot will indicate when it goes low. It also has a needle jog. If you need to realign your needle with the last point you left off at, that needle jog is nice because you could actually, when I hit the needle jog, it will actually bring the needle up and down in small increments so that you're able to get where you want to be precisely. You can also turn your needle lights off if you would like, or leave them on. But it's a touch screen, so you're able to go through the settings by touching the screen and go from precise to cruise, base, or manual, or you could also do it on your handlebars. So you have 2 ways to be able to go through the machine settings. Much like the 21R, the adjustable handles on the 21 Pro are there too for your benefit. So you're able to adjust your handles just like you do on the 21R. So if you're looking at a faster machine, one with a touchscreen, and the 21 Pro fits that, just know that you can adjust your handles so you can quilt in comfort. You want to be able to have that easiness as you're doing your free motion quilting, because this is an art. This is where you're relaxing, right? You're doing your quilting to relax, and to have the right machine, a fast machine, a larger throat machine, makes that relaxation even better. The other nice thing about the 21 Pro, again, it has that built-in bobbin winder, and on the thread stand you have 2 places for thread, so you can keep one for your thread, your threading of your bobbin, and the other one for just a standard threading of your machine. So the 21 Pro is an upgrade from the 21R. You do get those extra features within the screen. You do get that nice needle jog, the bobbin sensor, and other nice features built into the screen, let alone it's one that you can touch as well. It truly is going to be one of your best friends just because it's so easy to use. I can't stress that enough. I have a lot of phone calls or questions that come in talking about, are your machines easy? Are your machines heavy? I get intimidated because of the length of the machine. Well, I'm hoping that this will solve those, and you can see it's not intimidating. You have your start-stop button. How easy is that? To start your machine is done by the handlebar on the 21 Pro and the touchscreen. And again, that user-friendly, you can't get any easier to that, to have the functions right there at your fingertips. That is really, really nice. This as well, you can add the automation. Computerizing your machine is really nice, especially for those who, again, think to themselves, free motion is hard to do. Don't let that stop you. Free motion is really simple. How many of you, well, look at it this way. How many of you guys doodle on a piece of paper, right? You get your pen or your pencil, you have a paper, and you're just, someplace, you're waiting at an appointment or you're with a friend, but you're just out doodling. That's pretty much all free motion is. So if you're one of those quilters who have a small domestic machine and you've been considering getting a larger throat machine, which one to buy, really consider the Qnique line of machines, especially the 21 and the 21 Pro. Both of them will fit what you're looking to do, very affordable, easy to use and maintain, And that is one that I really want to make sure you understand, is making sure you know that you can maintain this machine and how easy it is. You go to your local dealer. They might have one on your floor and to test drive it. But the machines themselves allow you to move forward in your journey. So going back again, the very beginning, I was talking about, like a checklist. This is a dream. I understand that. This is an investment, and I understand that as well. So if you're looking to invest in the Grace Unique machines, and this is a dream for you to get a larger throat machine, this is it. This is a machine that fits that bill. Go ahead and go down your list again. Affordability, larger throat, easy to maintain, easy to thread. It does have a built-in bobbin winder, touchscreen, adjustable handles. All these things make your journey a whole lot easier to do your quilting in. So keep that in mind when you're choosing your machine, which one you want. And I promise you're going to enjoy every minute of it. Please leave your comments and your questions. And if you're thinking about someone who also may benefit from a long arm, follow us or have them follow us on, and you as well. Follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. We monitor that. We like to answer the questions. And again, if you know someone who's looking for a machine, if it's not you, have them look at this Unique 21R or 21 Pro, and we'll make sure they're getting taken care of. Thanks for watching this. Leave your comments. Please leave your questions, and we will respond to them. But again, thanks for watching this, and we'll talk to you next time.
There we go. Well, that was wonderful. I know we had some great segments, and especially on that one, it was great to be able to see some of the differences with those Unique 21-inch machines. So thank you, Mark. I'd say, for all the videos that we've seen to date, and I think especially to be able to have Lizzy, Allen, and Jackson kind of towards the beginning of this segment, but I know it was really fun to be able to have them. And then if you are just joining us now, we did do a segment later, or just yesterday, I guess, where we had, Lizzy Allen that did a little bit, and then Jackson that did some a little bit later in the day as well. So if you have not seen it, or missed a segment, or want to rewatch it, I encourage you guys to do so, as that will be an option. And then I know if you are, or you kind of stuck with us, is the patterns or any quilt that we would have done that had a pattern with it, as we will have those available the day after, it airs or kind of finishes for the day. So we will have those as an option as well. But kind of at this last segment, we're just going to kind of wrap up the show that we have, and then we're also going to do a bit of some live giveaways, and then we'll also do the grand final, grand finale giveaway, if you will, that is actually going to be the cutie frame itself.
So first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a live giveaway for people who are still. Thank you so much for watching and sticking with us through the 2 days. We really appreciate it. I know Hans and Roswitha, you guys have such a great following. It's fun to watch the comments of everybody saying hi to you as they're coming on. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do a 4-pack of thread. So we have our finesse thread here. And the colors are light sand, smoky quartz, snow white, and pearl white. So we're going to give away a set to someone watching on Facebook, someone watching on YouTube, and then someone watching on the Grace website. And so what I'd like to do is we're going to do a question here. So Roswitha, Hans, how about you guys come up with questions, something that Hans, maybe you talked about at the very beginning about your shop that people could answer, and then we can go from there.
Okay, what did I talk about in the shop? Yeah.
Our display.
How many Grace long arms have I got in the shop?
Oh, that's a very good question.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Even now, I'm trying to go back there. I'm trying to replay it in my mind. I'm like, all right, 1, 2.
Yeah.
There's more than 2. I know that. Give you a hint on that one. Wonderful. And again, we'll give everyone a chance here on that one. Let's see. We have a couple guesses coming through. So let's see. Give everyone a chance. There we go. It's coming in. Look at this.
Oh,
again,
it's all the same guesses. So I think that's, I don't know. Let's see.
Let's
so
see.
what's the answer, Hans?
Hang on, I have to unpack one more.
That's good.
Yes, the answer is 4. So
4.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're going to go ahead again. We're going to choose 3 different winners. So we're actually going to choose, actually before we do this is just really quickly to make sure that you take down this email. For those of you that are going to win.
button 4 machines, that's a little bit similar, isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so then again, if you are one of these winners that are chosen for this live giveaway, this is the email address you're going to want to take down. It's mail@knowhowsewing.com.au. So again, you're going to want to make sure to reach out to us so we can make sure to get you your prize. But let's go ahead and we're going to actually choose our first winner from our Grace platform here.
So the first winner is Sandra. She said 4 long arms, so congratulations, Sandra.
Ooh, wonderful. Congrats on that. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to choose 2 different winners. One now from Facebook and then one from YouTube. So let's see here. Okay, let's see. All right, I think this is great. And this is going to be from Facebook here. So it's Mary Jansen 4. So I wasn't quite sure, but yes, that is the answer. Congrats on that one. And then we're going to choose one final winner here from our YouTube platform. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to do, it's Jan Barney, it looks like. So congrats on that one as well.
Congratulations.
Wonderful. And then just another quick reminder here that you're going to want to make sure to reach out again to mail@knowhowsewing.com.au so that we can make sure to get you your prize of these wonderful finesse threads. And then I know if you guys haven't heard of finesse thread, just a little bit about it is that it actually is 100% polyester. So it's a little different than most thread that you'll see out there in the market. And part of the reason that it's 100% polyester versus, cotton is that we found as you start to get into mid and long arm machines that run at a much faster speed than your domestic machine, that polyester has a nice little bit of give to it so that it helps with your thread just break less, and then it is actually low lint, so lower lint than that that you have with cotton. So really, if you have not seen the finesse thread, there's a whole ton of colors too. This is just a 4-pack of some of the solids. We have variegated, so we really have a lot that you can check out. And then again, if you're local to Ron's and Rothweiss, make sure to go check that out because they do have that thread stand where you can see all those colors in person there.
And also on their website, you can see all the colors on the website. They've got an amazing deal going on right now. So go to knowhowsewing.com.au and check it out. All the variegated and solid colors are listed on the website, so you can check those out. And just a quick reminder, all the specials that we've talked about, all the items, that if you didn't get a chance to win and you were just thinking, oh, I really need that item, go to the website. Don't miss out on the deals. Hans and Roswitha are there to help you. If there's any other questions, email them. If there was a comment that we didn't get to or a question, definitely send an email out to mail@knowhowsewing.com.au and Hans and Roswitha can answer those questions for you. They can get you contacted and they're a great resource to talk about all the things that we talked about today, what frame will work best for you, what machine. If you're looking at a long arm or a domestic, they have those as well. And so go to the website and check everything out there.
Yes.
One more thing, just because I feel really excited about what's coming up, anybody who won those prizes, if they order anything else of TrueCut, we will post that for free with the pricing.
Oh.
The ones who didn't win, if they order something, they can have the threads postage free as well. The threads.
Oh, amazing.
Wow.
Thanks, Hans. That's a great prize.
That's wonderful.
No, everybody needs to jump on and get to the website right now. Get it going. Yeah.
Threads are easy to pack, 4 reels of threads, but if you order 60, it's even better to pack.
Yeah.
But,
yes, there's a comment. Is there a thread special? Yes, there is a thread special. Just jump to our website.
Yes.
Yeah, which is again up on that screen. So it's www.knowhowsewing.com.au. So yeah, make sure to check it out because there is really some amazing deals that are specific for you guys and for this event. So make sure to check it out. And then kind of speaking of prizes, is as this is the final day, kind of wrapping things up, as we have our grand final, or grand finale giveaway that's chosen from those that have pre-registered. So this is a really exciting one as well because it's the cutie frame. So you're getting a whole frame for free.
Yeah, it's the cutie frame, but
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, it's the cutie frame as well as some
That's
additional
right.
pieces as well.
Here, I'll go ahead and pull that up here so we can see. Here we go. So yep, it's that cutie frame plus the bungee, 4 set of bungee clips, and then an 8-pack of thread.
So that's the 4 solid and the 4 variegated that come in those 4 packs. So it's just a great little pack to get you going and to have that cutie. It's going to be wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah, and then I don't know if Hans or Rafita, if you've had an opportunity to maybe use the cutie frame, and if you have any thoughts on it.
Yeah. I used the cutie frame. Yeah, we got it set up right here with a domestic machine. But yes, it takes up to a 19-inch Grace Unique machine. Goes on tabletops. It stores under anywhere. It can hang it on the wall. It gives you a lot of space. What else is it good for? Quilting, of course.
You can travel with it.
You can travel.
Yes.
You can take it with you.
Yeah.
And is it easy to install?
Very easy. Yeah. It's really well packed. The sides are pretty much pre-assembled. You only put the bars in. It's really, really easy without,
And it's all marked, so it's you cannot go wrong.
Yeah, wonderful. I was just gonna say, I know the cutie frame really is a very versatile frame, and then one thing that we like to say is actually more than anything is it's an accessory for your machine, so that you can really use, a domestic machine on it very easily, and like you said, Roswitha, you can actually take it and transfer or travel with it. So that's a wonderful thing to be able to do with it there. So it really is a fantastic prize. And again, even if you aren't the winner of it, again, there are some amazing specials that we have specifically on that, as well as other ones, and even some bundle pricings. So again, make sure one more time really quick before we announce the winner is to just check out their website, give them a call, because these promotions are only going to last for a short while. So make sure to check them out while you can. But we're going to go ahead and announce the winner of the cutie frame, as well as the bungee clips, and then that 8-pack of thread. Drum roll. So it is Diane Jeffrey.
Oh, congratulations.
Wonderful.
Hey, well done.
Congrats on that. Again, just really quick, kind of as we're wrapping this up, is just we wanted to say thank you to everyone for joining with us and be able to be with us. And if you've been here both days, thank you so much. If you've missed some of it, again, I'd encourage you to go back through, watch it. So if you have questions on anything, you can still reach out, and again, this is their website as well as a phone number that you can give them a call on. But thank you everyone so much for joining with us and being able to be live with us. And again, it's really fun. They have a couple of shows coming up, so make sure to check, their website on that. Give them a call, see if it's a show you'll be able to attend, and it'll be really wonderful. So thank you everyone for joining with us.
Yeah, and thank you to the Grace Company to put this great event on. It very much appreciated. We love it, and it seems like our customer love it too. Thank you.
Yeah, it's good. Thank you very much. It's a great company to deal with. The Grace Company, the support and the backup is one of a kind. So I'm sure our customers in Australia feel that already flowing through our distribution and dealerships. So thank you very much, guys. Thank you for staying up so late and supporting us. And I see you in Australia not so long now. So
Yeah.
we have a couple of shows, face-to-face shows coming up, and let's make this thing happen.
Very proud to be part of the Grace Company family.
Well, we're so glad that you're part of our family too.
Yeah,
We are. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. And take care. Enjoy.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you to all the teachers, to all the technical support. Thank you for where is all the little numbers and names, supporting,
Especially
and
the customers. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
everybody who was involved in it. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, guys, I better go pack it.
All right.
Okay.
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 Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.